The expanded university, imaginative and boundless.
If you got a problem with that, we can always flush her out in airlock.
Good evening. And that is actually a gift from OG Star Wars, Alora. That little clip. I added the photo of it, but she sent me the audio book because I don't do audiobooks.
I don't either.
And the reason is, before we introduce ourselves, the reason is like I tried doing it while I drive. And I find that after about 3 minutes, I started thinking about something else and looking at something, and I didn't even know what the hell the reader was saying. So I'm like, let me rewind it. It happened again. And I'm like, yeah, I can't do this. Because when you're reading, you're actively doing something, right? You're not passively listening. So that's why I can't do audiobooks. I would like to because it has sound effects and all that stuff.
I think the unabridged versions are done really well. I'm like you. I don't. But here's the other reason. I love feeling a hardback book, man. I love the feeling of a book. I love seeing where I'm moving along. I do not like ebooks. I have read off an ebook. I'm not old-fashioned. I'm just saying scrolling like this isn't as fun as turning those pages.
I agree.
It feels like climbing getting an achievement, moving that bookmark down. I just love it so much.
I agree. And this is from last time. She sent this. I think she was a little bit behind in the stream last time. And she sent this $5. Fun to listen to you guys. Have a good night. So I didn't get to read it because we were literally going off the air. So thank you very much, Alora. That is awesome. Appreciate the $5. And she's got a very happy weekend this weekend as well. I won't share. I don't know if she shared it publicly or not, but she's got some awesome stuff.
I don't know if she did either. Good job.
So
I almost said
congratulations.
Yeah. Fun stuff. Her family. So
yeah.
Fun. It's fun stuff. And so I hope she's having a great weekend.
Yep.
And I'm having a good weekend.
Oh, yeah. And this is Matt Wilkins, everyone. I didn't even get to introduce you. Yeah. Exciting. You know, you've been on the channel several times, but just being able to talk about this topic is awesome. So thanks for being here, man.
I get to watch streams with Tusk and Bob. I'm telling you, so
even Steek said this the other day on Twitter, and I know you're not on Twitter, but he said the same thing I've been saying for almost a year now, that Greg is like one of the most underrated panelists. I don't care what you're talking about. He could be talking about this, and he doesn't know very much about Expanded Universe. He read the Thrawn trilogy and a few other things, but he could like listen to us for 10 minutes and then formulate an opinion that would be relevant. It's pretty amazing what he can do.
I like that dude. I like that dude. I've enjoyed all your streams on this channel and your other one. You know that. Yeah. Chatted
Thank you. Yeah.
And if it goes too late, I'll just bookmark myself and watch it in the morning.
Well, I was going to get into like the concept of streaming in a minute, but let's see who we have with us.
Yeah.
So far it's a pretty light crowd because I think there are several other streams still going. Teresa is in the house with her customary rose. Thank you, Ms. Martin Muses. Mike Jolene out of France is in the house. We've got Jedi Lukey, the Canadian lore master, in the house. Melissa Lord, the #1 member of Open-Airlock Policy, the first to join. What is going on, ma'am?
I like Melissa. She lives in my state, Florida.
Yeah, I'm starting to think that because originally I wanted to be in Arizona, but now I kind of see where the politics are going in that state because I like warm weather.
Yeah.
And dry weather, but I can go with a little bit of the humidity as long as it's warm in Florida.
There's good folks in Phoenix.
That's where I was looking at. Like Scottsdale would be awesome to.
Yeah, Brian Borg is out there from Twin Sons Foundation.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's a great guy. He's a great guy, and he thinks there has been a sham on his state, and so the Maricopa County has a lot to answer for. He's saying, but.
I've heard people talking about that. Yeah,
he's still a Phoenix proud guy, but no, Melissa Lord's living the dream.
Go to some Arizona State games. That would be awesome. Become a
and Tempe, yeah, it's a great campus. It's a great town. I've been there several times. I have tons of friends there. So
yeah, it's cool. I've always, you know, I was telling someone the other night on a stream. I was on Raging Rhino's stream. I've had this weird fantasy about living in the desert. And like, I remember as a kid, I want to have a Lamborghini and live in the desert. And I finally figured out why. And believe it or not, it's like, it's Tatooine, right?
Yeah.
And you have kind of a land speeder, you know? It's like, I just want to live way out there. So,
there
and
you
it
go.
dawned on me because I remember writing a thing like, here are 5 things in 5th grade. What do you like? And I put desert. And the teacher's like, it's spelled 2 S's if it's dessert, Tim.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, I meant desert. I like the desert. And she looks at me like, or he actually looks at me like, okay. I'm like, yeah, I just like the desert at 8 years old or whatever it was. But Liquid Blake from Sydney, Australia, our longtime mod, FuchNorris, top tier member in the house. Skirmitar from Hungary. He's our, whatever you want to call him, our director, producer, man, that makes all kinds of awesome clips and stuff. We can watch some of those later. E. Clay Thomason, member in the house. Star Wars, give me those Star Wars. Nothing but Star Wars. Don't let them end. Except Disney. One Man Show is in the house. What's going on? We've got Magnino Alex. What's going on, dude? You're always in Matt's chat. You've come to mind too in the past. Small Time is in the house. And then we've got a $5 Brazilian real super chat from Timon. Can't stay, going on the road, but we'll catch the replay. Just a reminder, the S in Brazil sounds like a Z in Portuguese, but Spanish is also a language in Brazil. So sorry, Timon. But thanks for even swinging by, dude. I really appreciate that. The 5 reals. And then Melissa Lord for $2, American. Hey, Tim and Matt, but Luke, he's the best. Love you. Yeah, we're going to get into Luke for sure. Absolutely. But here's the thing about streaming, man. Like, I heard you saying this the other night. What was it, Wednesday or Thursday you were streaming? It was Wednesday.
Chris, it was with Wednesday, I think.
It had to have been Wednesday, yeah. Because I was streaming with Rhino on Thursday. You were talking about, like, you meet all these people and stuff, right? And that's how it was at the turn of the century when I first got onto like America Online in like 98. The first place I went, the forums, and I found Star Wars boards. In fact, on one of my celebration streams, I read a flame war that Steve Perry had with some people on the boards. It was right after Shadows had come out and stuff. A few years after, actually. So I was active in that, and it's cool because when you're online, there's unlimited people you can connect with, right? And you made the point on Wednesday that no one you knew, like in person, really was into this stuff, right?
Yeah.
But online, you can meet all kinds of people that are into it. So, you know, that's right now, that's what we're doing. But it was true back then. But the difference is now we're sitting here talking about it, and we have 15 people watching. Right? That's what's cool. The fact that we can sit here and talk about it and show our knowledge and entertain people, hopefully, in the process. And that's what I think is, it's just, man, what a fascinating world we live in with the modern technology. It's just amazing.
Yeah. And then also, Tim, I also want to add that I've met so many people who like so many different things about the expanding universe than I do. And that's great. I've always said that even though I don't like a book, but someone else does, that's awesome. I used to think that if you were to ask me years ago, how does an EU fan get in the EU? I said, well, you got to read the Timothy Zahn trilogy first. You have to. Well, that's because that's how I did it. But then everyone's going, no, it was Young Jay Nice for me. It was Millennium Falcon. It was, you know, the video games. It was the children's books. I was like, what? Really? And yes. And it just kind of opened my eyes and going, yeah, there's any place is a good jumping point into the EU. And I never would have thought that years ago. But just seeing those different perspectives and what people like and dislike about this and that, it's been so much fun just to have that conversation.
Absolutely. Yes.
And just like what we're doing here, I'm super happy I got to meet you because of all this.
Oh, yeah, that's true. And like, even back then, for a short time, AOL had a voice chat room. They got rid of it probably because of the bandwidth and stuff, but we would go in there, me and maybe 10 other people that were into the NJO at the time, right? Because Victor Prime had just come out, and we were talking like we are here, except without video. But we weren't like entertaining people with an audience. So again, that's the distinction, and that's what's really freaking cool.
You were talking in a forum.
Yeah,
I was a mainstay on the Star Wars forums. A mainstay
on AOL.
I don't know if it's on AOL, but on StarWars.com, they used to have these forums.
Oh yeah, I remember those.
I was on those all the time, arguing this point, talking about this, asking Leland Cheese, Sue Restoni, Steve Sansweet questions, and they were answering, and it was so cool.
Yeah, I definitely remember those days. Then you had the TFN forums.
Yeah. Yep. Man,
the BBS ones.
Boy, did Force.net fall apart. That was one of the one things you always wanted to check back in the day. They had the updated news before StarWars.com. And goodness gracious, they turned on a hard dime when they got bought by Disney.
Yeah.
And I'm not just saying, oh, they're Disney shills or anything. No, I mean, like, they just started turning around and attacking any fan who didn't care for the new canon. I'm like, why would you do that? Why have you ever just their whole face changed? There she is.
Yep. I read it before you got here. So yeah, thanks again for the 5 buckos, and congratulations about this weekend. Mozza, member in the house. What's going on? From Australia as well. But yeah, so that's what's so cool about this, that we can talk about stuff that we know about, because it's not like I can go to work, right, and use expanded universe knowledge at work, but right here I can make videos and have live streams and talk about it, and someone wants to hear it. That's what's so freaking cool about it, and I love it. And I love these 17 people watching. It's amazing stuff. But anyway, how has your week gone? Mine's been pretty tumultuous, but in a good way.
Yeah, yours ended really good. Mine was fine too. Mine's been a fine week. It's a funny story, but I just before getting on here, we had been looking at other houses.
Same here.
We saw a house we liked. I helped build it as a teenager. I helped out with the construction crew. And the lady is a little, who owns it now, and she started making up her own history of the house. And I was like, I just told you I helped build this house. I know that's not true. Please don't lie. I just told you I knew the owners, previous owners. Please don't lie. And just kind of make it, she has her own fairy tale idea of what she believes her own lies. So that's fine. The house has a few problems, and it's a little outside of price range, but she acts like I just put it on the market. Lady, when you post something on Zillow, they date it. I know how long it's been, and it's been 1.5 years. You didn't just post it. You can tell. And I didn't want to just, she's older. I said, look, it says you posted it here. You took it down for a few months, then you put it back up, but you've had it up since early 2020 and no one's come by. She's done put it out. She doesn't know what she's doing. So I said, you know what? I have this much money, but I have close enough. We'll lowball, but lowball politely, because all of the big expenses she was talking about almost matches what I was going to offer. And the realtor made up a few other things too. Like, hey, look, you said this, we need to have this. And so we're going to have to, because of all these charges, we're going to have to, like roof. She said, may need a new roof. It may need needs new AC. It's 5,000 square feet. And so I was like, okay, well, we'll just lowball it just a little bit, but we'll take away all those charges and do what I have my max at. And we waited all day, just got a response like 30 minutes ago.
Nice.
That was lowballing, and she didn't appreciate that. So now the price is $495. She raised it like 100,000. Like, wait, what?
I don't understand, because what I do for a living is buy stuff, and I don't understand this butthurt about lowballing, because that's part of negotiation. Just
counter offer.
Yeah,
counter offer was something, but then she went up on her counter offer. I cannot stop laughing. I was like, who is she? But she's hoping for us to say, oh, never mind, we'll go back to your original price. Please give us your original price. Because she said, okay, fine, it's gonna be higher now. And I was like, who are you? And
so what'd you do?
We're walking.
Good. That's what you should do. Let her be the one to crawl back to you because no one else.
She's not. She's because she really believes. She's like, you know what? Thinking about this, I think I'm undervaluing my home, and I think I'm gonna raise the price. And blah, blah. And I was like, oh my goodness, this crazy. But I just think it's sad. She doesn't know anything about the business, but just crazy, a little crazy.
Well, something similar.
You come back with a higher. You counter with a higher.
Yeah, that's
offer.
and
What
people
you,
do
12?
that kind of garbage to me in my job, but. Something similar happened to us. Like we found this property. I don't know how my wife found it. Like riverfront, and we have creek front now, but riverfront. Nice, beautiful, clear water, to where it's like smooth rock, and you could sit down in it. All that crap, several acres, 3,000 square feet house. I could have had a studio. All this stuff, really nice, and it's outside of town, which I want because I don't want to live in town. Straight shot to the freeway. Amazing, right? We bid above the asking price. Someone bid even higher than that. That's how bad the market is in some parts of the country. So we didn't get it. So I told her we're not doing this again. It took a week to find out we lost. We're gonna build our own design. Even though lumber's high, we have a way to offset that right now.
Okay.
But I said, I'm not going to sit here and bid, lose. I'm not going to do it. We're going to build.
Yeah. Across the nation, it's a buyer's market right now, which I understand that. But when you have a house up for a year,
seller's market,
almost a year and a half, now you're in the seller's market.
Yeah.
Pardon me, seller's market. But when your house has been up for a year and a half, and
I know you had her.
But then you got them, and that's fine, and that's fine. She don't want to sell. The other one was up for even longer. We made a bid for that, and then all of a sudden they said, "Oh, there's been another bid put in. Would you like to raise your bid?" I went, "No, this house has been on the market for 2 years.
I like it.
Raising my bid." And they said, "Okay, well, you lost." I said, "Okay, that's fine. I don't. It's not going to hurt my feelings." And it is kind of frustrating because here houses do at a certain value, they do get snatched up quick. But I'm not going to rush my decision. I'm not going to change my mind. In fact, there's another one that we're going to go for next. And the thing is, even though it's within my range, I'm going to lowball that too because it's been on the market for over 100 days. So guess what, son?
That's good negotiation, and that's coming from an expert negotiator. So
yeah, and then you can always come back and say, "Well, I'll go this low," and then we can talk. I mean, it's just
yeah.
The lady just rose the price, and I was like, "What are you doing? You don't know how to negotiate."
I've seen weirdos do that before.
But the realtor apologized. She said, "This is just how for sale by owners kind of work. They just don't know how the market works." I said, "No, you have to apologize. It's not your fault. I don't care. This is crazy. Let's go on. Let's move on. We're good." So the new offer will come out tomorrow, maybe for another house.
Jock Nerdy's in the house from Northern California.
Hey, Jock Nerdy.
But yeah, it sucks. And I told her no more. I'm not going to do this again because it happened to me years ago. Her parents have a bunch of land. We're just going to build out there. And there's a tree line between them and us. So, there's not going to be any nosiness.
Like you said, just out in the country is just nice. We looked at one out in the country a little bit and we liked it. But for a few reasons, we're going to pass. It is a distance from everything else we have to get into. I mean, there's a little grocery store that I could live by and that I'd be fine, but I don't like pools. There's a pool. It's nice, but I just don't want to keep up with the pool.
Right.
The country yard is huge. I have to get a riding lawnmower if I get this house. And, I was like, but like I said, I do like it. We both decided we really like that. But the one problem we both had, I can forgive the pool, but it's just too far out.
Yeah.
But I mean, to each his own, because my brother lives out there and he loves it. He says he sleeps like a baby every night. No noise.
Yeah, this one was literally like you drive up the driveway, hit a highway for about 4 minutes, and you're on the entry ramp to the freeway. So that's perfect. That's great. No traffic or anything like that.
We're a little bit farther from the highway, which that's probably the distance, because you get to the highway, you can get anywhere quick.
Hell yeah. Yeah.
But we're more farther out from the highway, and it's, not bad. We're not, we're a few miles away, but not super bad. But I was thinking, I'd rather be closer, but either way, if that's the house we got, I'd be happy. But
Right.
It'll work out. It'll work. My next offer will be tomorrow.
Right.
Talking about it, but
well, good luck, man. Good luck.
Thanks.
But yeah, let's talk about some Luke Skywalker. And it,
we're not talking about houses, the housing market. Who knew?
Yeah. Yeah, there's a really boring
guys
radio
way
show
off topic.
locally that talks about that, and I'm like, man, I tried listening to it for 5 minutes once, and I'm like, I got to turn it. Maybe it's just the personalities involved, but not very entertaining. So, sorry, guys.
I'm about to get space if I bring up that topic again, folks. I'm going to zip it.
No, I enjoyed talking about it, but maybe they didn't. But yeah, let's talk some Luke Skywalker. And
Absolutely.
Not just expanded universe, it's the characters. So I just thought it'd be cool to go over like who is Luke Skywalker. And I have some books I pulled out of the library here. Not as many as I could have, but I pulled some books out. But as far back as he can remember, right? He was on Tatooine being raised by this couple, So I remember some of the novels would talk about how some of his force abilities would manifest themselves here and there, not like he's using it, but he was so powerful in the force given his ancestry. I think it might have been like the Black Fleet crisis that talked about that.
I believe it's played off. Well, I mean, if you look at some of the prequel stories we had from the Dark Horse comic books, there's very little out there. Dark Horse comic books, there's a little golden book. There's, if you get the Life and Times of Luke Skywalker, it includes all those stories. It kind of streamlines it for you too. But all the little side stories, and mainly it's Luke just being a little extra lucky is what it is. Like, it's not the force, it's not something supernatural, but it just seems like, wow, I dodged that just in time, or my instincts were heightened.
It's kind of like Clark, right, in Smallville, almost.
Exactly, except it's not supernatural. Like, he's not super jumping over things,
right?
But he's making the right guess.
Mm-hmm.
He's making he's got the right intuition that something's wrong, but he doesn't realize it's the force. And I absolutely love that because it matches. We didn't see a lot of young Luke stories, and I'm happy for that. I'm happy for the tiny ones we got, but I'm glad we just didn't do a young Luke Skywalker series. He's my favorite character too. And because of that, it fits in well. I always think that any expanded universe must lead up to and reward the reader when watching. It should always enhance what we know about the character leading up to it.
Yes.
For instance, where Dave Filoni failed in his Clone Wars, that makes episode 3 pointless and awful, which should have made it even greater, should have complemented that movie. It didn't.
Right.
What we have these little stories that didn't mess up anything, and we see Luke. He has no idea about the Force. He has no idea. He knows what Jedi. His dad was never a Jedi. He didn't know anything. And he didn't even know about old Ben and who he really is and stuff. And he's still naive. He's still adventurous. He's still lively, just like he was portrayed then. But we didn't need to have a whole young Luke Skywalker series. And I'm glad we didn't have one either, because it would be boring. It shouldn't be him having to levitate a rock and going, how to do that. No.
Right.
Because he didn't find out. Remember when he's holding that, I love when he's holding that lightsaber the first time, he's just kind of walking around like, this is kind of, he's just kind of playing with it almost, because it's just a light sword to him, it's a play toy. Well,
he's a hick from the middle of nowhere. That's what he is. Not just galactically, if that's even an adverb, but he's also on the planet itself. He's not from the city. He's not from the spaceport. They're way out there. So what does he really know? When he sees something like that, it's like, whoa, what's this?
Exactly.
So, yeah.
So, I mean, it's beautiful when you look into timeline wise through the expanded universe in the movies, that and I loved every little young insight. The golden book is fun to read. That it was Dark Horse Jr., if I remember, was the young Luke story, and there may have been a few more tales.
What year was that?
Dark Horse Jr.
Mm-hmm.
Holy cow, I don't know.
Because I recently got a stack of these, and I'm happy. Because
right on, the Galaxy, what a wonderful magazine.
Because this is an expanded universe magazine. That's what it is. But Alora and I had found an online source that had all these digitally beautiful scans, and I used a lot of it for some of my videos. Well, that website got rid of all the links. So I emailed them saying, hey, what happened? They were from Russia, actually. Well, or at least the website was. Never heard back. So I'm like, damn, well, I saw these on eBay, a stack of them for $30. I'm like, yeah, I'll take them. All of them.
So that website,
some of the posters were missing, but
I know the website you're speaking of. It's gone now.
No, the website's there. It's just the links to insiders and galaxies are gone.
Why'd they do that?
I don't know.
But no, that's a great magazine.
I should have downloaded them all. Yeah, it is an amazing magazine. The posters, the stories. No, when I say stories, I don't mean just like the fiction, but also the articles. Awesome articles. Even the freaking advertisements are awesome to see. Like, oh yeah, that was cool when they were advertising the resurgence of the Hasbro / Kenner figures in the 90s. It's so cool to look at that stuff. And I feel bad because, you know, at that point I'm coming out of high school, I'm going into college, I'm very busy, I'm working full time, and I just didn't have the time to get involved in Star Wars a lot. All I pretty much did was buy every action figure I saw. That's why, like on Twitter and on my Facebook collectibles page, I'm posting those daily, because I probably had 80% of the Power of the Force 2 line because I just wanted Star Wars. So that's the way. And I would always buy the West End Games books. But as for keeping up with everything and getting involved, I just didn't have the time back in the mid to late 90s. So yeah,
that's
what's up, McLean. But yeah, Luke Skywalker. So he's a kid, you know, when he's on Tatooine, stuff's happening, and he wants to. He kind of, you know, the fact that he wants to get out of there. That's made really clear in the first movie. I always felt like he knew somehow he had to get out of there, but maybe he didn't know why. He just knew he had to. Maybe he didn't consciously realize that he had some kind of destiny, but it was almost like a subconscious realization that there was more for him out there and he had to get out of there. That's what I found kind of fascinating about the character, because he was so disappointed when he couldn't go.
Yeah, and it makes sense that he knows his destiny is pulling him somewhere, right? He just doesn't know where. I love, and you're talking about New Hope. Up at the sun, you know, wishing, dreaming, adventurous days. If you read the novelization, he's
I love it. Yeah.
Old town with Biggs, Wendy, Wormy. I can't remember
He was Wormy.
Cammy, and it's really interesting because, you know, everyone's been there. Small town, you have your little friends, but every year, like his best friend Biggs, going to the academy, and it seems like everyone's getting off this rock but him. You know, because all your friends are moving away to college and the good old high school days you had are over, and you kind of want to kick the dirt, you know, physically speaking, off your heels and then get into the world, go out and see the world.
Absolutely.
But Luke feels a little trapped and desperate. And you get that from, I mean, I'm still tying this into the expanded universe, but the novelization is expanded universe stuff and does show, because it's basically showing the guy got to, Alan Dean Foster, even says George Lucas, Alan Dean Foster ghost wrote it. And he got to see the uncut version of Star Wars. So he's writing a book with all those uncut scenes in there. Like the Jabba Hutt and Han scene is in there. And they didn't just put it in there after the 1997 release. Or whatever.
And he's got the Mati and Tag roles reversed, you know, in that scene where the choking scene. So that was interesting too. So I think a different cut probably had that changed up a little bit,
or they changed the names later.
Correct.
On. It could have been the same actors, just they changed the names, and some of that stuff, you know, in pre-production gets switched around, changed everything. That's why I think Shakti dies in the novelization. I think she
of which
episode 3.
I don't remember. I need to reread that because
I can't.
That was an amazing novelization.
Someone correct me. I know it's in a deleted scene in episode 3, but I want to say Matthew Stover wrote about. I could be wrong about that.
And back in the day, that was that was high level canon. The novelizations were, as long as they weren't contradicted by the movie.
Yeah, and now again, I could be wrong about that, but
yeah, Raging Rhino knows. Killed her in the temple.
Yeah. Now, Rhino, was that in? How come I'm not invited on your channel, Rhino? I'm kidding. He likes Tim. He loves Tim. No, Rhino, that was in the book. I know it was in a deleted scene. I'm just because I hate.
Laura says it's a deleted scene. Yeah.
Okay, but it's not in the novel. I don't want to misspeak.
We'll have to look it up.
Yeah, the novelization had a lot of that stuff in it. But I'm unsure if Shakti's death. It sounds like it was. Oh heck!
Do it. While you're doing that, let me read Alex's comment.
Yeah, go ahead.
Only thing that doesn't make sense is sobbing over Obi, but not shedding a tear for his uncle and aunt. So, number one, he didn't shed tears over Obi. He was sitting at the Dejaric table, like, just depressed. But the scene where he sees the smoking skeletons, he looks pretty upset, and we don't know what happens between then and when he returns to the Sandcrawler with the droids and Obi-Wan. We don't know what happens. For all we know, it could have been hours, and he was crying and who knows what. So I'll just point that out that, I think it would have been a little forced and stuff if they had shown what he was doing, like crying and all that stuff. But he wasn't sobbing over Obi. He was just sitting at the table. Because you got to realize he had lost the only parents he had ever known. And then he had this new father figure. And then he lost him. So who's left? Right. Who's left? He doesn't have any siblings. He has this brash smuggler guy and Leia and this big hairy alien. And that's all he has, and droids. So I think it made sense. Did you find it, Matt?
I am so close to it because I got to rise Darth Vader, and now I'm trying because I know it's got to be somewhere in here, and I already got turned to Mustafar.
Oh yeah, you have, Alora. You were on Casual Rage like a month and a half ago.
Wait, you haven't been, Alora? Well, that makes
she has
a little bit better. That Alora, Alora. Oh, Rhino says you have.
She has.
Rhino's saying you're a liar. Rhino, if I was ever invited, I would never forget. I would cherish the moment, unlike ungrateful OG Star Wars. You notice he still hasn't sent an invite out.
Yeah.
But
Luke shared emotions.
I'm kidding with you, Rhino. I'm kidding with you, brother.
Yeah. He knows. Anger, spite, and now a bit vengefulness regarding aunt and uncle's death. Yeah. I mean, not only did the Empire kill them, they killed them in a horrendous way.
No, she's not dead. She is. Someone got this right. She is in her meditation chamber. Anakin asked where she is, and she's in the. I thought he had chopped her down. She was guarding the entrance.
Yeah, that's what Raging Rhino says.
But that was in the. No, you're right. You're right. No, Raging Rhino. He knows his stuff. That's why I'm not going to be on his channel, because I had to look at it. So
we are to assume that she died later on during the purge then.
Well, officially she died. Guys, again, correct me if I'm wrong, but Starkiller killed her in Force Unleashed 2, the novelization.
Or the game.
Again, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe she died in Force Unleashed 2, the novelization.
And that happens like happens 5 years before New Hope?
Video game.
Yeah, I had the game, yeah.
It happens a little before New Hope.
At least probably 5 years, because they formed the rebellion in it, right?
Yeah. So
I didn't like that retcon, because that guy was never involved. It was Mon Mothma, Garnville Iblis. Well,
we never know completely what happens to Starkiller, because it's kind of on a cliffhanger. The series does. So it never really, he was instrumental, as were many people.
Well, his family crest is the Alliance Starbird. I thought that was stretching it a little bit,
That is giving a little bit of a mark, but to be honest, to be fair, the video game was very popular, and they wanted to tie his character into the EU. And I'll be honest, I am all for video game novelizations. I think that was such a smart idea to tie in video games.
Yes, it was.
People into the EU. Video games are crazy nuts, and they're great for EU, bringing people into the EU. And I would have written the Knights of the Old Republic, novelizations. People would have bought those and drove.
Hell yeah, they would have.
Because that kind of stuff cross sales. And it was, to me, it was kind of stupid to kind of let all these. I thought Force Unleashed was a great idea. I played the video game a little bit, but I thought it was a great idea that you just kind of cross those over. And
I found that if you're going to play that game, the Force Unleashed, you have to do it on the Wii, because I played it on the Wii, because you get to actually swing like the lightsaber and stuff like that, not just, press buttons. So I had fun playing it because I actually got to like swing my Wiimote around like the lightsaber and stuff. So it was a pretty fun game. Both of them were. I had both of them. I don't think I beat them. I think my son did, because that's what I did with KOTOR. I didn't play it because at that point I just didn't feel like playing video games. I'm like, almost 30 years old.
I'm not a big video gamer either.
And I just watched him at the age of like 6. He's playing it, and I didn't tell him what to do. I just watched. And kind of, and then when the moment came when they revealed who Revan was and stuff and all that, that was pretty cool to watch. So that's how I did it. So, and I haven't read any of those Old Republic books, to be honest. The only thing I've read are the Tales of the Jedi comics that first came out from Dark Horse in the early 90s.
Excellent. They're excellent. That's an excellent series. Out of those, it's Deceived is my favorite out of those. I'll enjoy Raven. And one of them is kind of blasé, like so. I think that's Allegiance. I could be wrong, could be Fatal Alliance, but Deceived I thought was really good. But those are good books.
Okay, I'm gonna buy them. I think I have the first 2 Bane books. I need to get the 3rd one of that. Then I need to go back and get all the Old Republic ones, and then I need like a few more. I need Dawn of the Jedi, and then a few of the Young Jedi Knights, and then I think I have a complete. Well, I got to get some of those like young. What was it? Young Apprentice or Jedi Apprentice books that Jude Watson wrote.
Oh my god!
I got to get all those.
Those are so good.
I have about 3 of them, I think. And there's like a stack this big of them. So
there's like 17 of them in the first run. It's fantastic.
And there's Jedi Quest after that,
which is good.
Mm-hmm.
And then Last of the Jedi, which
I have the first one.
I didn't particularly like that run, but the first Jedi Apprentice, that is one of her finest works.
I don't really care, Jock Nerdy Brian. I'm like buying whatever. Like I just want every book right now. I want at least 1 copy, and I have triples of some because my goal is to get a displayable full set and then have a second set in boxes just as a backup. I'm weird like that, just to put up in the attic and for safekeeping. And I have doubles and triples of probably like 20% of the EU. But I don't even have a full set of especially those Old Republic books. So that's kind of what I'm working on. But anyway, Luke Skywalker. So, he's kind of living there, and then, out of nowhere, this major event happens in his life, and it's upended, right? He leaves Tatooine, the only home he's ever known. He goes on this mission, this momentous once in every 1,000 years mission, right, to rescue a princess on a space station that he'll later destroy. I mean, that's the hero's journey, right?
Yeah.
So here's a moment, and I can't remember, and I guess I can bring out the first book I brought out here. This is a really cool book. The covers of these are iconic, kind of like the Kenner packaging. And a lot of the lore was established. This thing is from 1989. And what they did in this book, before I show it, they interviewed, quote unquote, like in a real, like I'm going to ask questions, Luke Skywalker, Princess Leia, and both Han and Chewie at the same time by Voren Now, Alliance historian, but it's Galaxy Guide 1, A New Hope.
Yeah, that's a great. I love the guy.
I need to go back and read the Luke Skywalker interview and see if they talk about this, because here's an amazing moment. Go ahead. What were you going to say?
No. Go. I think you're going to say it. Go ahead.
Well, here's when they're in the hangar on Yavin, and I've always thought about this like a what if type thing. I don't want to do a multiverse, but I'm just thinking like it's almost like you can see it flashing in Luke's eyes when Han says, "Hey, why don't you come with us? You're good in the fight. We could use you." Imagine if he had gone with them instead of getting into the X-Wing. What would they have done? What kind of smuggling adventures would they have gone on and stuff like that? And you can kind of see that flashing in his eyes. Like Luke's like, man, that would be cool, because it wouldn't have a lot of responsibility, really. You know, I wouldn't have the weight of the galaxy on my shoulders. I could go with this cool guy that probably knows how to pull women. He knows how to pull women because he saw the Mos Eisley Cantina stuff. And, you know, this cool, big, hairy beast to protect us. I mean, what kind of adventures could they have gone on? And you kind of see that in Luke's face, you know, like he almost considers it for half of a second. And I just always thought that was an amazing offer that Han gave him that he passes up on. And then he inspires Han to turn away from that life too.
I'm so happy you do deep guides on that, because this is the 3-in-1 of what you have.
I only have the special edition of that. I need to get that one.
Well, this is the 3-in-1 Galaxy Guides, I think.
Yeah.
And I bought this because it was hardback and just saved me money on that. But I love that you got that out, because, and I think I've mentioned this before in my reviews, I'm not sure, but there are a lot of folks, because it goes through, there it is. It goes through episode 1, and it has like they're interviewing Luke, Han, Leia, their thoughts about this and that, what happened after the battle, before this battle, this was caught here. It's kind of like micro short fiction stories.
Oh yeah,
in the pages that give you insight to what was going on, what were they thinking. This is why, honestly, West End Games is above and beyond any.
Oh, I've been saying that forever.
Group. Mm-hmm. They enriched Star Wars. And this is during the dark times, folks. This is when nobody cared. They could have thrown crap at the wall. They could have said, I also like to eat Cheerios too. Wink. Because no one was watching. And Lucasfilm would have let them do it because no one cared. Lucasfilm was just happy someone was paying for the rights. I could have bought the rights back in the early 90s. I mean, or late 2000s, early 90s. Anyone could have bought the rights. But the thing is, though, they took it and they cared about it, and they cultivated such a rich deepness with this universe so much that George Lucas asked any of the Bantam authors, this was the package you would receive. Yeah, here, blow up your screen, Tim. Let's take me off and blow you up.
Yeah, there's the interview where they the guy, Voren Nell, he's a character they made up that's like a historian. And he just interviews him.
He's in the whole trilogy. He's kind of like a character.
He is, yes.
Who's chronicling.
Let's see what he looks like here.
Yeah.
Here he is. Yep.
I'm so happy you brought that up.
That's the historian, Voren Nell. Yep.
And he is a character in West End Games who comes back constantly to do reviews as he's chronicling the history of the rebellion and everything. And it's honestly some of the best West End Games. George Lucas would send this package to every writer. This was
Zahn admitted that.
Yeah. Oh, a lot of authors have admitted that they got this package because George Lucas loved West End Games. Right, I'm going to have you on my channel, I've decided. I've had Lethal on there a couple of times, and I think I lost viewers because of it. So I'm gonna get Rhino on there.
You just got to be careful of this, Matt.
They came bounding over.
Fuck off, Disney! You fucking cunts!
Hey! I am a full Aussie watcher, so I know.
Have you seen me on there twice? I've been on the full
I've
Aussie
seen you
twice.
on there.
Thank you,
I saw they had doggone it.
Lost Jedi.
No. Who they have? No, this past weekend they had.
Young Ripa.
Young Ripa. I kept saying Young something, but they had Young Ripa on there. They've had Ryan for some reason. RK Outpost. I don't know why, but It's so much
time
fun.
Ryan asked Axel Braun if he has a hard time, you know.
Yeah, it's so much fun. And Rhino, I'd buy a car from you in a heartbeat.
Oh, we're gonna do a thing sometime because I buy stuff for a living and he sells stuff for a living. So we're gonna have like a stream like negotiation and see what happens. We're gonna do that sometime.
Go.
Yeah.
There you go. I bet he's a slick car salesman too.
I bet.
But anyway, getting back.
He probably sells them to women a lot. And anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. Does the little unbuttoned special. Like you just tell me when the price is right. And I mean, I can't hate the player. I can hate the game, but I can't hate the player. But anyway, no, I love that you brought up Galaxy Guide. So many people don't know about this. And it builds the whole trilogy. Vorin has his own basically arc as he is witnessing all this stuff and doing the interviews. He becomes his own character. West End Games, unbelievable. When no one cared, no one was watching. When no one's watching, you just do a little kooky dance. They could have gone off into the weird and wonder and like brought space unicorns into Star Wars again.
Kind of like Marvel, right?
Well, yeah, they could have been like Marvel, and I'll give Marvel a pass.
I like the Marvel though. That's the thing.
But it does have some cheesy moments.
It does, big time.
But West End Games, for the most part, for almost all of it, they cared about this. They gave careful thought to it.
I love it, man.
I don't know. Is he ready for my channel? Is my channel ready for Rhino?
Yeah, I don't think your channel's ready for Rhino.
I don't know, but I'm going to give it a shot. I'm going to give it a shot. But I'm talking, I mean, just like Han Solo, it has interviews from Han Solo, interviews from Princess Leia. Oh, speaking of princesses, Stig's in the chat. Hey, man, how's it going?
I've been on Wilkins' channel too, but that didn't happen to me. So, didn't happen to me. But have I ever told you my story about West End Games?
No, please go ahead.
I told it on when Alora grilled me, Barbara Walters style, on her channel Saturday before last. And I told her to do that, but she asked me some pretty tough trivia questions. I think I only couldn't answer one. I almost couldn't answer two, but then I remembered it right before she was going to tell me the answer. Anyway, so we went to Disneyland for like the third time in my life in 1987.
Mm-hmm.
Los Angeles, Anaheim, right? And that was after Star Tours had debuted, a year before? I think it was 85 or 86, something like that. And first off, going in, have you ever been in Star Tours?
Yeah, I've been several times.
Going into that, in that year, when you're, 11 years old, and seeing, it was like you're literally in a spaceport, right? So amazing experience. It was fun ride. There's a gift shop at the end. We bought several things. Because I was 11 years old, we bought some mugs that were like silver gray colored, and they had like the grippy Star Tours logo with like the stuff that you put on the bottom of a skateboard, whatever, or the top of a skateboard. And my wife actually broke a handle about a year ago. Ooh, and I was kind of mad. But anyway, because I'd had them for 30 years. But.
My last time on Star Tours, I think, was 2014. Yeah, and I wore a Save the Expanded Universe t-shirt.
Yeah.
As in line, one of the ride operators looked, he went, I don't like that t-shirt. I went, you better, because Star Tours is part of the expanded universe, and it wouldn't be. I just love that he made a comment about it.
That's great.
And I was like, that's crazy. But I zinged one right back at him. I said, you better, because Star Tours is expanded universe, my brother.
Yeah, it is. It was.
Yeah.
We bought this poster, not this copy. I lost the one that we bought in a move, but I bought this at, I don't know, a garage sale or something. And then my mom is like, hey, look at this. This is a role-playing game. Right? And it was the first edition rule book. And I brought it onto Allura Stream. I don't have it in here. But you look at the price tag on the back, and it shows the price. And then you can see the mouse, the mouse silhouette on the price tag. So I bought it in the gift shop in 1987, took it home, and I'm reading it. And I'm like, whoa, it's telling me how hyperspace works, right? Look, there's an ad from Industrial Automaton on the R2 unit. And hey, look, there's Galactic Space Tours talking about touring all these. It was like the coolest thing ever. Well, then I found out, I went to B. Dalton. There's the Star Wars source book that came out several months later. I bought that. This one came out. I got this at Grapevine Comics and Cards in Stockton, California, where I started buying all of them, either there or Al's Comic Shop on the south side of town.
You bought them when they came out.
Yeah, this $12.
I had to get those way later in life. I had to collect them. It was back when the EU was going strong, and I said, I've got to get these West End Games books, because I had the adventure journals, and that was it. And I was like, whoa, because I don't remember. I was at a comic book shop and looking over one. I was like, wait, there's some fiction in here, and I was like, what? And I found out that was for everything, just about. So I bought all of, well, let me see, all of that.
That's awesome.
The Wizard of the Coast stuff. And then Fantasy Flight up to the point where they stopped. You can see up to the point where they stopped doing EU stuff. But
well,
that's the entire collection with a few source books down there. But it is.
Well, what was amazing though, it rekindled my love for Star Wars, because I'm reading all these books, 88, 89, 90, 91. As soon as they came out, I actually called Hunsdale, Pennsylvania, the headquarters of West End Games. I found their number, and I would call, and this nice lady would answer, and I'd say, what's coming out? And she'd say, well, let's see, this is coming out and that's coming out. And I'm like, that's awesome. So I go to the comic shop and say, hey, this is coming out. Do you see it yet on your order list? And sometimes they'd say, yes, well, I want to pre-order it. They would call me, it's in, so I go pick it up. So I had every book that came out, right? But then guess what happened in 1991? Heir to the Empire came out. And it was cool because you're reading it and he's using the vehicles and all that stuff from this.
Yeah.
So that was really cool to see that continuity and stuff. So really, West End Games.
I never got to know that when I was reading it. I didn't know they were pulling from West End Games.
And you didn't need to, but it was an added bonus if you did know it.
It was like a bonus reward for anyone that played the RPG. And again, perfect example of why people love the EU so much. It rewarded the fan for reading everything.
This is an inside joke here about jumping to hyperspace from an atmosphere. But yeah, it rekindled the universe, not just for me, but for many people. It kept it alive because the Marvel series ended in what, I think June 86, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, it rekindled everything. And then the Dark Horse, Dark Empire series came out and all that stuff. So,
and oddly enough, that West End Games source book got a release a few years ago, 30 years.
They released the rule book and the source book together.
Yeah, it got a re-release 30 years later, which I thought was cool.
Fantasy Flight did that, yeah.
Yeah, that was kind of odd, but I'm glad it did because it was so impactful to RPG fans everywhere who love playing Star Wars. You know who used to? That's how Pablo Hidalgo got into the business. He started playing RPGs and submitting ideas, then got on at West End Games, then eventually led him to get into Lucasfilm.
Yeah.
Where then he shedded his Senator Palpatine clothing and went straight Emperor.
Yep. Yeah, but this is an awesome book. Again, that interview is so cool. And then the Empire Strikes Back version expands on him, and then the Return of the Jedi Galaxy Guide, same thing. So that moment, though, in A New Hope, where Han tries to get him to say, just come with us and let's go have adventures. You can see on Luke's face, almost like for half a second, like, man, that would be cool. But it's only half a second. And then he's like, no, these people need help and the galaxy needs help. So he walks away, and that inspires Han to do it too. Because what happens at the end of the movie, he rescues them in the trench, right?
Well, it's a turning point.
Yes.
I know this is not about Han Solo, but it's a turning point for Han Solo, the man who says, give me.
It is about Han because it's Luke inspiring Han.
And I'm about, well, yeah, but it's about, it's like, hey, this is all me. So in the novelization, if I'm wrong, again, correct me someone, it seems like as he's flying off, Chewie's just looking at him. It could have been in the radio drama. I don't remember. But Chewie's looking at him. He's like, stop it. Stop it. No, we're not going back. Listen, Chewie, they're not our friends. It's a job. We always agreed it's just a job. We never get involved. And so Chewie's just like not happy with their decision to leave him high and dry. And eventually and he's thinking about, you're right, the pureness of Luke, the kids just, falling. I think at first he just writes it off as just a lovesick kid making a, decision, a wrong decision, just idealistic and everything, just too hopeful. But then he kind of gets a little inspired by Luke's hope and Luke's love and trust of people.
Yep.
And that's what is missing in Han's life. He has Chewbacca. Yeah, he has a friend, but he wants a family. And I hate to make this about Han real quick, but I'll
he's one of my favorite characters.
But as we get to Jedi, Han is fully accepted. It's cheesy at the end where they're all kind of hugging, posing for a photo. But the thing is, though, it could have been a hollow photo they were posing for. But everyone's so happy that maybe just that. But the thing is, though, it translates good for Han because he found his family now. These are his friends. He's eventually going to marry Leia. We know that. Becomes a family man, gets the family he wants. Later on, he thinks he misses his old smuggling days and quickly realizes, no, I don't like this. It was good back then, not now. I love my family. I love my wife. I love my kids. It wasn't, I can't take this anymore. I got to ditch you, baby. I got to go solo again. And whatever the sequel did to ruin him completely.
The Disney,
Yeah, but the thing is, though, that's also very impactful. And of course, Luke is the most optimistic person in the rebellion. He's saying, "Hey, it's only 2 meters. I can shoot wombats in my, my home." Yeah, he's always the glass is half full, folks. You can listen to every liar around, but they said when I was little in the 80s, I always wanted to be Han Solo. No, everyone on the block wanted to be Luke Skywalker. Okay, everyone wanted to be a Jedi. Everyone wanted to be the Force. Yes, there were Han fans. I'm not calling them all liars. It seems like everyone says, I always liked Han better than Luke. No, you didn't. Every kid wanted to be a Jedi, just like Luke, because Luke is optimistic. Luke inspires every child, right? The child that doesn't get to do anything and then finally gets on the adventure of his life, becomes like the chosen one in a way, the one who can save the day, but he's always optimistic. He's not pessimistic.
Let me tell you this, though. Let me cut you off because I was one of those exceptions and
that's fine. My brother was too.
Let me tell you this story because I was in the hospital when I was 2 years old for tonsils. Okay. They became infected, had to get removed. So my grandparents came to the hospital and they said, "What do you want?" And I'm like, "I want McDonald's." "Well, you cannot have McDonald's." "Okay, I want Han Solo doll." So they go to the gift shop at the hospital and they bring back this stupid puppet. And I'm like, "That is not Han Solo." And they leave and they come back and they bring this in the box.
Shut up.
And I still have it. Yeah.
That is awesome.
I don't have the blaster. The boots are there and everything.
That is awesome.
In the box. So at 2 years old, I was 2.5. This is what I wanted. Not Luke. I have the Luke up in the attic, by the way, but I wanted Han Solo. And I don't know. It was something, the swagger and all that, even at that age, I just thought he was radical. So yeah.
Yeah. So that's awesome. That's an awesome story. But no, my brother, he always wanted to be Han Solo. So there were, but every kid on the block wanted to be Luke Skywalker. Everyone wanted to have a lightsaber. Everyone wanted to be a Jedi because they're cool. But also Luke is very inspirational because he's so optimistic. It's called optimism. His character is always, he's the only one that believes Darth Vader can be saved. He's the only one who has a stiff upper lip at the end of Empire when everything is falling apart. He's the only one who is confident they can overcome Jabba the Hutt.
Yep.
He's the only one confident they're going to come out on top after everything is done. He goes on a suicide mission, in fact, because he's that confident that his friends will be there for him. It's going to be fine. And the thing is, to turn everything he was in that original trilogy, Mark Hamill knows this. He's just under contract. He can't say it. But he knows that's not Luke in the sequel trilogy. He knows that's not. He must have hated to have to play a pessimist. a bitter old pessimist, which is something that was nowhere near Luke's character at all in the books and in the comic books and the novelizations.
Nope.
It is never Luke.
Oh man, I have another thing here that's much later. I'm gonna hide it. So
go ahead. Lead on. I'm sorry.
You're exactly right. You don't have to apologize. But I think I know what you're talking about. The whole thing with Chewie, like him guilting him into it. You might be conflating that with the Lost Legacy, where Badger and Hasty show up. Remember? And he's like, "Oh, we can't help you." Remember? And then Chewie's "You're going to help them."
I know that too, but I believe, and now that I'm thinking about it, it may have been in the audio drama, because they have to have something for Han to do. In fact, the audio drama has one of the best lines for Han Solo. He's talking to Jan Dodonna, and he's like, "Well," he said, "Well, Jan," he said, "Well, General Dodonna, I'd like to stay, but I also like to be in one piece." And he says, "I'm sorry, Captain Solo, I don't quite follow you." And Han responds, "If you did, you'd live a lot longer."
Nice. Yeah, I have that on audio cassette, actually.
That's so witty. Brian Daley wrote those radio.
Yeah, he did. Yes.
And they are so witty. They are so well written. The radio drama the audio drama is so worth, even the one that came out, in the mid 90s?
Yeah, they did Return of the
Jedi, which they never got to do live. But Anthony Daniels and Mark Hamill come back. Anthony Daniels is the voice of C-3PO on all those.
Correct. Yep.
But Mark Hamill comes back in Return of the Jedi and reprises his role as Luke, and it's beautiful. It's beautiful. I don't remember if Brian Daley wrote that.
I want
to say he did, because he died in late 90s, right?
Did.
Yeah, so he wrote that one too. But they're beautiful. They're beautiful, and there is some extra deposition because you're just listening to it. You're not seeing it or reading it. So there's some extra deposition that's not there. But I don't mind it at all. In fact, now that I'm talking about it, I want to watch. I want to listen to them again.
I remember, Luke is listening to a commercial for the Academy, and it's using the Star Wars theme, and he's like humming the theme and stuff. So that was kind of cool in a cheesy way, but really cool to listen to on NPR. When I remember listening to that driving around in my parents' car because they would turn it on.
It's magic. It's like
NPR,
magic, right?
Yeah.
So beautiful. It's beautiful radio theater. I love radio theater. Small time. Thank you. I cannot believe how knowledgeable you are in these things. I really am impressed by this. But yes, Perry King.
Brock Peters as Vader.
Oh, you were. I can't believe. I should know. I should have known. You guys know these voices. It is such a good audio drama. I highly suggest, if you can't stream it on YouTube, which I think you could,
probably.
I'm sure your local library can get it for you. But it's wonderful. It is wonderful.
It's cheap. It's out there. I have the audio cassettes, and we have one of those old-timey things that plays CDs and records and tapes and everything but 8 tracks. So I'll just pop them in there occasionally. And
That's awesome. McLean is right. That is correct, McLean. I do remember that. He wrote it, but he never got to listen to it. He died before the premiere. He died after that. I do recall that, man.
And you know who he was very good friends with? James Luceno.
Yes. And, I found all this out way later in life. I did not know. But I didn't. And sadly, folks, I did not read Brian Daley's Han Solo trilogy till late 90s, I want to say, after he had passed away. Because I knew about it, but I just didn't read it. And I didn't realize he had also written the audio dramas because I didn't pay attention to that as a kid. And then putting all that together, I was like, oh, my gosh. And I deeply regret not getting a chance to get an autograph by him because I love that Han Solo trilogy.
Well, my story there is that Heir to the Empire came out, right? And I loved it, like a lot, like I needed more. So I looked in the bibliography for the source book, the Star Wars source book from West End Games, and they had the Lando trilogy and the Han Solo trilogy in that. Well, I remember seeing the second Lando book on one of those turnstiles at Fry's grocery store in California. And my parents wouldn't buy it for me because it's 1983 and I'm 7 years old. And they're like, you're not going to read a book. So what I did was I went to used bookstores, didn't see anything. I went to the library and I found Han Solo at Star's End. And I checked it out and I read it. And I told my mom, I'm not taking it back to the library. We'll just pay the fee. You can't do that. It's a library. So she made me take it back. So eventually I found all 3 of his, and the first Lando book I found was the last one, but I read it anyway.
R.I.P. L. Neil Smith.
Yeah, R.I.P. And I did a video on it, by the way. His death is, I was going to talk about it too. It's not getting enough attention because he was an amazing individual. So,
folks, the Lando Calrissian trilogy by L. Neil Smith made me a Lando fan.
Oh, it's so true to the character.
I love those books better than Brian C. Daley's Han Solo trilogy, and I love Brian C. Daley's Han Solo trilogy. But I think why? Because it was unbelievable. I was the first. I think I've told the story before. It was the first book I bought. All those old Del Rey books because I was bored waiting for the next. I was waiting for the next EU, and there wasn't enough EU coming out, so I just went ahead and bought. You saw those all the time at the bookstore, so I bought all 3 of them. And I said, well, I'm going to keep the Luke book for last because I love Luke. So Splinter of the Mind's Eye is going last, and then Han Solo will go second to last. But I'll read Lando first because I don't really care about Lando, and his stuff won't be that good. And it was actually reverse order on how I like those. I love the Lando first. I love Han Solo second, and I like Splinter of the Mind's Eye third. And that Lando trilogy, I was like, this is so good because it made sure he is not a Han Solo replacement. He is different kind of smuggler. He's a different kind of scoundrel. And I love every minute of it. L. Neil Smith did a beautiful job with the entire series, the entire story arc of his droid, Vufi Ra.
Vufi Ra, yeah.
And the thing is, though, it's funny. It's funny. He almost has a Michael Stackpole or Aaron Alston sense of humor at times. And not to spoil anything, but some chapters begin with the word sabak, and you laugh every time that happens.
He invented the game.
He invented the game, and the thing is, he used this as Lando's trapped. There's nothing. There's no way out. The next chapter reads sabak. He smooth talked them into playing cards, and everything's cool. Where they all had blasters at his face, and now they're playing cards and laughing together with him. That is Lando, folks. That is Lando through and through. And I every book I read from L. Neil Smith, my opinion of Lando shot through the roof. I was like, oh my gosh, we need more Lando. We need exclusive Lando books. I said, and I still think that's one of the shortcomings of the EU is that there wasn't enough Lando. I really loved him.
Well, Smith
was fantastic.
You know that West End was going to do a source book on the books, right?
They did one for Brian C. Daley's, didn't they?
They did for the first 2 books. They were going to do Lost Legacy like on its own as part of like a tie-on cluster thing. But anyway, we'll read this in a minute here. But my first expanded university video I did in December was on that topic because I was flipping through adventure journals, and they were interviewing Bill Smith, either Bill Smith or Bill Slavicsek, and they were saying, we're going to do a Lando novel source book, and we're going to do it so that it's like he's telling, it's like a diary entry.
Oh, cool.
Do you know what happened in Solo: A Star Wars Story? He's referring to these novels like he's making a diary. And I'm like, is that a coincidence? Or did Pablo Hidalgo, who knows West End, did he tell the filmmakers, hey, here's an idea as like an inside joke, have him talking about, stuff that happened in Mine Harp of Sheru and all that stuff. I think that's what happened. And it's disgusting because if you're going to take something and discard, the expanded universe, come up with your own stuff and quit trying to just piecemeal rob stuff. It pisses me off. Jock Nerdy for $10. Legends EU keeps us sane. I swear, gives us hope. And that's the thing. Like the way that I stay interested in Star Wars is that I compartmentalize the good stuff from the bad stuff. And I just stay on the attack, like trying to remember and trying to keep myself informed that, hey, when they do this, when Disney does this with Luke Skywalker or Han Solo or Thrawn or whoever it is, it's stupid and it's not real, so that I can like discredit it in my own mind and stay true to what really is Star Wars. Thanks, Jock Nerdy. Thanks, Ryan, for the $10. Appreciate it, buddy. So anyway, that was kind of a weird coincidence that what's his name? What's the actor's name? I can't think of him. The one that portrayed Lando. He's making these journal entries. Huh?
Billy D. Williams?
No, the young one in the Solo movie.
Oh, was it Donald Glover?
Donald Glover. He's making these journal entries and he's referring to those novels. And I'm like, okay, that's kind of dumb. But then I read that interview and I'm like, wait a minute. They stole that idea, you know, for what they're going to do with the source books. So it's stupid. That
is dumb. That is.
But anyway, I found the third book. And before I found Mine Harp of Sharu and Flame Wind of Ocean, and I read it, and then I went back and read the other two. So I'm finding all these books, and I'm like, this is awesome, and it was great. And then Dark Force Rising came out, and then Last Command, and then Truce at Bakura, and then we're off to the races after that, buddy. It was like comics and books galore. And then the Galaxy magazine came out in, 94, 95. So it was good stuff. But Childish Gambino, yeah. Back to Luke Skywalker. So he kind of makes that decision, and it's really interesting to read the Marvel series because you get a lot of the stuff like when Han is in Carbonite and he's missing. He kind of steps up into that role, and I thought there were a lot of good arcs in that. Like I recently read 1 through, I'm going to say like issue 70, 60, 70. Then the whole thing with Shira Bree comes in, aka Lamaya. That was really interesting, and he kind of he becomes like the father, not the father figure, but he kind of just steps into the role that Han, because Han's gone, so someone has to like step into that. I'm the man of the family now, you know.
And I wanted to just back up for a minute, but the Marvel comic books dig into Luke's life a little bit between Star Wars and Empire.
Yeah,
he goes on a lot of adventures with his friends. He's growing. I don't know if we're going to talk about the Maverick Moon, where he goes to the academy for a little bit to learn a little bit to get a little better for the Empire, for the Rebellion, which is great. There's other things. Splinter the Mind's Eye itself takes place in between here, and it was supposedly going to be the sequel, the low budget sequel for George Lucas. If Star Wars didn't sell well, he had bought it back, making plans to do Splinter the Mind's Eye, which is why there's not many space battles on a fog planet, so you can't really see the background. They can just put fog machines up. It was made to be a low budget sequel. But then, of course, it made money hand over fist, and they went with a bigger budget. They got a bigger budget and everything approved. And the reason Harrison Ford or Han Solo is not in that Splinter the Mind's Eye is because Harrison Ford didn't sign a 3-movie contract, so they weren't sure they could get him back, and they didn't know if they could afford him after that. So they were just going to do with Mark Hamill and Carrie Fisher story. And that's a fine story, folks. That's a fine. I said it was the least favorite of my 3 Del Rey books, but I didn't mean it was a bad book. It's really good. There's a comic book version. I've never read it, but you may, if you like comic books, you can read the comic book version. For me, it can't be that good because it's like only 4 or 6 issues. And how can you summarize a novel in 4 comic book issues? You can't. Right. But if you like comic books better, there's the comic book version of it. But it's a decent one too if you like Luke Skywalker. So you're talking about, Luke has to fill in the gap between Empire and Jedi. You also have Shadows of the Empire, the big release when Dash Rendar was kind of the Duke cousin to Han Solo there. Everyone hated on him for that, but he wasn't bad for me. He was fine. He served his purpose. I just hate that they just it does make him look like a replacement when they never bring him back for years until they do the amazing and surprising
Shadow Games
of Shadow Games out of the blue. It's like 10 plus years removed from Shadows of the Empire, and they finally want to dig back into that. And I love Shadow Games. Don't get me wrong. I just can't believe that they used him and then dropped him from the face of the earth, never to mention him again. I mean, there's Shadows of the Empire Revolution, where you see he's alive at the end.
Evolution, wasn't it?
Evolution. You're maybe right. So. Yeah, Evolution. It's Guri's story. But you see at the end that Dash Rendar's alive. Yay. But then they don't do anything with him. Shadow Games is amazing. It's great. Yeah, Dash Rendar deserved better. And Melissa loves Dash Rendar, which means that now everyone in the chat loves Dash Rendar because everyone loves Melissa. So good. Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, even in the Marvel series and Splinter of the Mind's Eye, and by the way, about Splinter of the Mind's Eye, I thought it was cool at the very beginning that they made it realistic. Like, what is the mission? Well, you know, there isn't just the main rebel base. There are these cells all over the galaxy, and that's where she was going, right? Leia was going to try to make contact with this cell in the Circupus system.
Yeah.
So I thought that was kind of cool that it made it realistic. Very cool.
Was it the Mimbum system?
No, it was Circupus system, and Mimbin was Circupus 5.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yep. That was like its other name. But yeah, I just thought it was cool that, you know, there's one rebel base. If you destroy it, all the rebels are gone. No, there's cells like all over the galaxy. Some are allied with the Alliance, and some are doing their own thing. So I thought that was just really realistic on Alan Dean Foster's part.
And if you've read Splinter of the Mind's Eye, there's a lot of great stuff in it. In fact, I just recently released a video talking about my favorite non-Force villains.
I haven't gotten to it yet.
Well,
I saw the notification.
Spoilers, Captain Supervisor Grimmel is on that list.
I love that title too, Captain Supervisor.
Yeah, it's one of the old school titles and everything. But I love his character. He's the baddest of the badasses. He's doing this. He's doing that. That guy complains and he pokes a spear into and plucks out the guy's eye. He's like, your complaint is on record. You know, it's just like, wow, this guy's so cool. But he's just a bully. And when Darth Vader enters the room just to do a custom inspection because he thinks Luke's on the planet thing, you see Grimmel go he goes all Shaggy and Scooby-Doo on Darth Vader because guess what? The bully's scared of Darth Vader. And I was like, that's exactly right. When Darth Vader walks into the room, you better hope you're wearing your brown pants that day. It's going to be pretty embarrassing. And I thought that was such a great idea to make this, because I thought, man, Grimmel is a great character. He's the best of the bad. Not when Vader's around. He's a little cowardly kid, and that's perfect. That's a perfect description that no one else, I don't think, I mean, you know, certain people were like scared that sweating because Darth Vader's here. Ooh, my, clutch my pearls. But it was never like jelly, which is Grimmel is said to go to jelly and like blubbering and yes, Lord Vader. And he's shaking and everything. And he went from the strongest, baddest, evilest man to there's a bigger man in the room, and I am a coward now.
Yep.
And I thought that was so realistic and so unique. I put him on my list.
Yeah.
But I do believe that if you haven't read Splinter of the Mind's Eye, folks, it's a lot of fun.
It's a short read, you know.
And the caliber crystal is I know people think that's kind of weird. It was given a later explanation. It enhances, amplifies the power of the Force. But what they find out is not when you leave the planet. That power just kind of erodes. But Hala leaves with the crystal anyway, right?
I believe so, yeah.
At the end, and we don't even see her again. And that's the sad thing. A lot of these Del Rey books, in fact, to my knowledge, Splinter of the Mind's Eye is never mentioned in any other book.
Well, I think it's sort of referenced when Luke is talking about dueling, and he says, "This is the X time that I've dueled my father." And if you count, I think it was NJO. I think it was NJO. And if you count the Splinter of the Mind's Eye duel, that number adds up.
And this is another thing that Kevin J. Anderson in Tales of the Jedi Redemption kind of mimicked from Splinter of the Mind's Eye. Obi-Wan's spirit jumps into Luke and helps him fend off Vader. He doesn't defeat Vader. That's the only way that he can fend off, which is good because Luke has no ability, no Force training yet. So he hasn't met Yoda yet. So he can't really go toe-to-toe with Vader. Obi-Wan knows that. Spirit of Obi-Wan jumps in to save him. It is kind of weird when you think about it. But later on, what does Ulick Keldroma do, you know, with Nomi Sunrider's little girl? He's a ghost now. Or no, he becomes a ghost, but he's still kind of helping her train and whatnot as a Force ghost. And I like stuff like that. Force ghosts can do some things. That's another thing. Ghost Obi-Wan is in it. How many Ghost Obi-Wan stories are there? Not that many, folks.
No, they didn't. And honestly, it's probably a good thing.
It is a very good thing they didn't
Mhm.
overuse that. In fact, it's bittersweet at the very beginning of Heir to the Empire when he
Oh
said,
man, what a great way to, not a great way, but also a terrible way, because it's like, no, he's gone, but
it's a
it
farewell to
meant something.
Obi-Wan. That's great. It's like, hey, I can only appear to you in dreams now because it's time for me to go.
Yeah.
It's time for me to go. And it's a sad beginning. It's an opening to our introduction to Luke, but it's like now it has ended. This era has ended. It's time for me to move on. You don't need me anymore. You're good. Even though he has tons to learn still, Luke does not feel prepared. But when does he ever feel prepared? I mean, Obi-Wan, his trainer, dies in A New Hope. And then later on, now hold on, was there anything before Star Wars Empire you want to talk about first? Anything else?
All I can say is, he's, if you read the Marvel series, I feel like it really is true to Luke. That's how he would react to a pretty girl like Shira and stuff.
Luke's going with his heart. He's following with his heart. He's into the adventure. He's into doing stuff. He's not doing it the Jedi way. He's still a little brash. He's rough around the corners. Meaning he doesn't think as much as he charges in. He just wants to do what's right, but he's not a Jedi yet. And you're right. I mean, but you had things like, you had greats like, I forgot the Goodwin.
Archie Goodwin
writing him and just doing a fantastic job. And I can't think of the other guy's name now.
Al Williamson was the artist.
Thank you. Al Williamson was the artist doing some great art. Those two were just great together. I mean, we talk a lot about Jan Durismo and John Ostrander. Folks, if you want to look at another great team, it's Williamson and Archie Goodwin. Really?
Can we back up a minute and something completely unrelated to Luke? Even though he is in those issues that a lot of people don't remember, I liked the Han Solo Magnificent Seven story arc. Like issues 7 to 9 or 10, whatever it was. When he has Jackson and all those other guys that he forms the team. Do you remember that story?
Yes, the Magnificent Seven storyline.
Yes.
Juan Don Quixote.
Oh yes.
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 And what a fun one.
What was the girl's name?
I don't recall right now. I don't recall them all. Juan Don Quixote and Jackson are the two I remember. I know there's a band of them.
And then the guy with the porcupine guy with the quills.
Yeah, that was so much fun. There's so much fun.
It felt like Star Wars.
Yeah. And I'll be honest, the Marvel Legends collection of them is really nice.
I have the Omnibuy from Dark Horse.
Yeah, I have the old Omnibuy from Dark Horse because that was just the easiest way to get it, and I love it. I love it.
Actually, I have that whole story arc in original copies, maybe 2 sets if I'm not mistaken. So I had to have it because, people say, oh, you guys talk about, all these characters in Disney trilogy. Look at Jackson. There was nothing wrong with Jackson. He just because he looks like a green rabbit, he was a badass. He had a starship. He was a smuggler. He had a bad attitude. He was nothing like what they act like he is just because he's a green rabbit. I like the character. So whatever, guys. But really quick, Blake made a meme. And here it is. Rhino, trust me, used cars. And he's got the jacket on and everything.
That's great. And that's exactly what he looks like. That's not Photoshop.
He wears that exact jacket, that terrible, and those
that face too,
high water bell bottoms.
Where's the cap? Yeah. That's great. That's awesome.
Oh, thanks, Blake. Blake's always doing that on the fly.
So realistic. It's like he's here with us now.
Yeah. Oh shit. Sorry. 9 minutes ago. Let me highlight this here. I'm just using my snipper tool because Jock Nerdy is smart and he bypasses the YouTube cut and he goes directly to my Streamlabs. For $50, Jock Nerdy, Northern California brother from another mother, says, keep up the good fight. Here's some love, my friend. And you know what? We are keeping up the fight, guys, because we're talking about old stuff. We're not giving money to these corporations that produce garbage. We're talking about the old stuff. So thank you very much, Jock Nerdy Ryan, the man. I mean, this guy's a huge like supporter, and we love him. Yeah, we got to get him out of California. That's all I can say.
Yeah,
we got to get. He wants to get out of there. And did you see there was a clip today in Sacramento? There was a bear crossing a street, and you see all the smoke in the background. And someone made the comment, like, even the bear on the flag wants to get out of California.
Did you see someone in California on Delta Airlines had them page recall Newsom? Recall Newsom. Delta Airlines is calling for recall Newsom. Please join. It's great.
Nice.
It's funny.
But then Disney and Warner Brothers are donating to the against like recalling him. So shocker there. Go see Dune and whatever the hell Disney's releasing. What's next? Shang-Chi. That's it. Michael T from High Desert Comics. Hail Open-Airlock Policy, True Canon. Thanks for being here. I haven't seen you in a long time, so thanks for being here, buddy. Appreciate it. Maybe you've been lurking.
Is that in Phoenix?
Huh?
Is High Desert Comics in Phoenix?
No, High Desert is in California, if I'm not mistaken. Because I remember the minor league team that I used to work for in Stockton, the Ports. When I worked for them, they were an affiliate of the Milwaukee Brewers, but they've been like an Oakland A's affiliate for like 20 years now. We used to play High Desert. I can't remember who their affiliate was at the time, but let me make sure here. Michael will probably correct me before I even look this up. High Desert, California. Yeah, it's in California.
He's in Idaho, he says.
Oh, never mind. Sorry, Michael.
Added in. Michael, believe it or not, I've been to Idaho several times, Moscow, Idaho, because my brothers went to college at the University of Idaho and New St. Andrews, which are both located there. And then 8 miles down the street is Pullman, Washington, which is where Washington State is, where I get my Cougar Gold cheese that I love so much.
Nice. The closest I've ever been to Idaho, I went to Alberta in 2009 for work, and it was hell on earth. It was March, and it's so weird, the weather there. It wasn't snowing, but everything would freeze at night, and there was like standing water. It would freeze, right? Then the sun would come up in the morning, it would all melt, and everything's wet. And then you kind of go to work, you come back to the hotel room, and everything freezes again. The water never evaporates. It was so freaking weird. And where I was, it was nothing but like flat land as far as the eye could see, like wasteland. It was like oil fields and nothing else. So it was terrible. But anyway, the hotel picked up a channel from Idaho because it was that close to Idaho where I was in Alberta. So I've never been to Idaho. That's my point.
Michael, I hope you enjoy Idaho. In fact, our workplace, they had the automated message. Hurricane Ida came through here, and the automated message could not pronounce Ida. So they said, Hurricane Idaho is in your area. I said, Idaho?
Ida Pimp.
You must be safe from Hurricane Idaho. If you or anyone else needs assistance after the effects of Hurricane Idaho. I was like, when did we rename this? But the automated system could not pronounce Ida. It was funny. So it's your state. What messed up my state.
Fantastic. Funny. But
anyway, I'm sorry. So Empire's where we're at now?
Yeah. And okay. Shadows of the Empire happens. I'm trying to think if they did any other narratives between.
Marvel comic books mainly covered it. Shadows of the Empire had something in between A New Hope, and so did Splinter of the Mind's Eye. No, excuse me. Shadow of the Empire was the Empire between Jedi. So
correct.
The comic books, Splinter of the Mind's Eye, that was mainly it for Luke. you know, West End Games had a lot of adventures that happen in between there. But that's mainly what happened for Luke. And then we get to Jedi, where, of course, Obi-Wan's still haunting him in a good way. Tells him about Yoda. I'm going to go to the novelization. The novelization, I think, read the screenplay, because there's scenes that they talk about in the novelization that aren't in deleted scenes of
Did you ever see the deleted scene where he's constructing the lightsaber?
Yes, on Tatooine.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it's good stuff. Yeah, I got the Blu-ray with all those in there.
Yeah.
But there's stuff like in the training, Yoda training Luke. There's a lot of training scenes that were never filmed, and I think were only in the original screenplay. Like he throws a stick up in the air, Luke wipes his lightsaber and slices it into 4 pieces, and Yoda says, "If you were a Jedi, there'd be 8 pieces down here," and stuff like that. And by the way, Yoda is blue in the Empire Strikes Back. That's because the artwork. Now I know this was a screenplay. Duh. The artwork had him as a blue creature, so that's
why because I have the Art of Empire Strikes Back, like this big book I got from the catalog in Star Wars Insider Lucasfilm magazine, and it shows all the concept art where he's like an elf with a white beard, and he's blue at one point. Let me see if I can find a picture of it as you talk.
Yeah, no, and so that's why he's in there. But Empire, again, I'm pitching these novelizations because everyone has seen the movie. The movie is fantastic and flawless. But if you think, the novelization is just a rehash of the movie, yeah, a lot of it is. But there's a lot of wonderful deleted scenes or stuff that was put in the original script that's not in the movie that's fun to read about. And Melissa, you are correct. Macquarie made him blue.
Yep. And actually, in the comic adaptation, they redid him in a later edition, but the original used the concept art where he was blue. That's cool. Fun fact. Yeah.
Cool. But yeah, so Empire came and went. By the way, did you see it last year on its 40th anniversary?
I didn't get to see it.
I did. Someone drug me to the theater, and I'm so glad he did. I had so much fun.
That's awesome.
The original trilogy belongs on the big screen. Like 24, like every day of the year, some little theater should be playing it. And I would buy tickets every year to see the original trilogy. Every year I would buy tickets.
They'd make money.
It'd make money, but plus you get to see, that's how you should watch the original trilogy, is on the big screen. There is no better way.
You're right, but I did go several years ago. It's been many years, but we went to see in the theater, in like a theatrical format. We went to see TNG, The Best of Both Worlds, parts 1 and 2. Like it was a Fathom event. Yeah, it was a Fathom event.
Fun.
Mm-hmm.
How fun!
And seeing that on the big screen, it was very cinematic. So, like whenever they do the Mr. Worf fire line, it was pretty amazing.
That's awesome. I'm glad they do stuff like. Yeah, there it is.
See, they used this one right here. You can't see it. This one right here in the comic, but then the movie came out and they redid the panels where he looked like the movie version. So this is some of the concept art. I don't think it was all Ralph. I think possibly Joe Johnston and that what's his name? That Nilo Rodis Jamero.
I don't recall
something like
that. Yeah. But so there is, and Michael, you got it right. There is a lot of monologue and what their motivations were, what they were thinking about.
Correct.
And of course, since Tim mentioned it, there's a Galaxy Guide for Empire Strikes Back that's just as
amazing.
Good. Mm-hmm. It talks about Luke and Echo Base.
His hand,
mm-hmm. The Wampa attack. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's a lot of good stuff in there. So it's very, and in fact, I don't recall, and someone may know this in the chat. If you've read Empire lately, do they talk about the side story that was filmed a little bit, but then later dropped about the Wampas attacking the base?
Yeah.
At the time, is that in the novelization too?
It is.
I believe it is, but it's been a while since I've read it.
Yep, it is.
Yeah. So great stuff. Great stuff. I look like a 1966 Batman villain with my camera all to walk you to.
I noticed, like, how do you get your bookshelves all crooked like
yeah,
that?
all
But you're
crooked.
straight,
I look like Caesar Romano as a Joker or something. Everything's crooked. It's shot at a crooked angle.
I was just trying to think if there's any other short stories that they put in that time period, but I don't think there are. I think that's it.
See, I ask if it's in the book, and these ladies are going, yes, it is. Yes, it is. I wonder, ladies, how many guys you have lining up for you?
Thanks, Submaster.
So impressive.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like, where were you 30 years ago?
Because Ryan's going to try to sell you a car, ladies.
Yeah.
You need to turn down the sexiness there.
Land speeder, yeah.
He's going to sell you a land speeder, all right.
They can jump to hyperspace from the atmosphere. But yeah, I think that's all that happens, and then you kind of have these Bentham novels, Truce at Bakura.
You have,
and the way he treated, what was that guy's name in that book? The force sensitive guy.
You have
Dead.
Are we moving on? Where are we right now?
No, I mean, if that's all before Jedi.
No, I'm sorry. What were you saying then? I'm sorry.
After Jedi, that's all before Jedi, as far as I know.
Yeah, in between is Shaz the Empire, between Empire and Jedi, and there are some comic books of them trying to rescue Han several times, stop the bounty hunters from transferring him. There's that pop-up comic book where IG-88 attack and Bosk, I think, hijack Boba Fett on his way to transporting Han, but of course Boba Fett outsmarts them. There's a lot of little things that are happening in between that, but then mainly Marvel comic books just takes off and starts doing Luke and Leia. And there's some great essays from Sequart. It's called A Galaxy Far, Far Away. It's part of their trilogy. One of them I wrote in, but the second one is really where it's at. It's about the comic books, and they talked about how hard it was to write in that era because they couldn't do much.
Yeah,
because everyone had to be at a holding pattern, but they didn't have Han Solo, which is one of their main characters. So they couldn't do anything with him. They did some flashback stories, but they couldn't do that much. And it was really hard to come up with content. Marvel had to keep coming up with content, but they were very limited on, they couldn't let Luke grow because he had an arc and Jedi. But all Lucasfilm would say is, you can't do that. Like, for instance, Marvel came up with the Death Star 2, not knowing that was going to be in Return of the Jedi.
Oh, the Tarkin,
they switched it to the Tarkin. They said you can't do that, so they switched to the Tarkin. So, and I think they got something else too that Lucasfilm said no on. But it's so interesting. It's called Galaxy Far, Far Away, and get that book on Sequart or on Amazon.
I'm gonna get it.
It's honestly, I mean, I wrote in book 3, but book 2 is just fantastic. It's fantastic. It sounds like my favorite one. It makes me regret I didn't choose to write in the comic book era, but I wanted to do the EU novelizations, of course. But it's just a great, it gives you so many interesting topics. It's so good, so good. But that's the thing that they were talking about, the difficulty of writing in that era. And they're right. They're right. There was a lot of limitations because you couldn't spoil the story.
Right.
But there's that too. So, and those aren't the best, but that's because their hands were tied. They couldn't do anything. It felt like the first few years of the new canon where they couldn't connect anything. It had to be very loosey-goosey and very selected in small little bits here that doesn't step on anyone's toes because no one knew what was going to come out first. So they had to be very careful not step on any of the timeline continuity. And that's what Marvel had to do for a few years until Return of the Jedi came out. Return of the Jedi.
That was during the Mary Jo Duffy era. For sure.
Mary Jo Duffy, I think, took over later on after Jedi was out. I believe. I could be wrong.
Was it after Jedi?
Yeah, because she kind of took over when the ship was sailing away, and not many people were. The Star Wars was declining in the eyes of the public.
But I love some of those stories during her era.
She held the candle, and she did a fantastic job. She did a fantastic job. She's wonderful.
But there's no women in Star Wars comics. Don't forget, until 2015. So
but that's dumb. Anyway, Return of the Jedi comes out. Of course, Luke. I'm going to go through the novelization. There is some stuff you can see there. There's some great dialogue between him and his father that's not in the movie. I believe there's more dialogue with the Emperor and Darth Vader and Luke in that final scene in the Death Star. There's a few other things that are in the novelization, but the movie is one of my favorites. I love Return of the Jedi, obviously. And then afterwards, you step right into Truce of Bakura, which
literally right into it.
Which I want to give props to Kathy Tyers, because she could have said it's another Empire versus Rebellion book. Remember, this book came out very early.
Yeah,
I think it was a Thrawn trilogy.
It was the next one.
Courtship. Oh, was it? Okay, was it that one? Okay,
it was before Courtship.
Okay, well, Truce of Bakura comes out, and she could have done another Empire versus Jedi. I mean, a Rebellion. Everyone would have been happy with that. No, she took the road last traveled, said, hey, the Empire needs help. There's invasion. Everyone's kind of scattered right there. No one's going to help them. We should extend the leap and save them. Dinosaurs with looking ping pong paddle lasers who take your essence into computers. What the heck were you smoking? But at the same time, Kathy Tyers says, no, I'm not going to go the easy route, the route that everyone expects me to go. And the thing is, we would have loved to seen a Rebellion versus Empire Part 2 matchup, because they're still fighting after Return of the Jedi. So it makes sense to keep talking about it.
Right.
No, let's do something different. Let's think outside the box. She is one of the most underrated EU writers out there, in my opinion, because every time she had an easy path set before, yet she went a different. Even in her short stories, she did that.
Yeah, for West End, is she the one that did Balance Point? Yeah,
she did Balance Point.
I thought so. Yeah.
Yeah, which it was the turning point for Jason. Jason goes, what is oh, look, there's nuts between here. Hey, I'm a man, I'm a Jedi. Boom. It was great. It was a great moment for me. I was like, finally. Yeah. Jason's not acting like a little whiny, wannabe Star Wars Aquaman. He's actually going up there and doing something now. And I was so happy to see that. But then again, she does some good writing there. And she said in an interview, she said, when I got my head in the Vong, they are some of the scariest villains I've ever had to write for. And I said, good. You can tell that's a good writer. She wants to understand her characters and get into them. But she said the Vong really scared her. She thought they were excellent villains.
Oh, yeah, and I thought they softened them a little bit after her book, because I heard that Stackpole was told that he made them too extreme. And I'm like, I want them the most extreme as you can make them. And he did.
They offered the shamed ones, and they expanded upon their caste system, and how the warrior class and the prophecy class were not really on the same page. And it kind of showed a little bit of cracks in their society.
Yes. Now, in that book, who was that force sensitive character? Was it like Dev or...
Yes, he was Dev.
Yeah. And I thought it was really, really true to Luke's character, how sensitive he was to him and the situation he was in and stuff. And it's like, man, he could have been a future student. That was the first potential student he found. If you don't count Hala. That's what I was going to say. Hala, when I was reading Jedi Academy, I expected her to show up somehow back in the 90s, when I was originally, but she never did. But really, Dev was the first. Sabwara, I think, was his last name, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. The first potential student, right, to Luke, but it wasn't to happen because he died.
Yeah, Gabriel Capitan is also a slight love interest, and there's a beautiful story later on in the expanded universe that it's actually the Carillion trilogy.
Yeah, and she comes back to save him.
She comes back. He asks for her help. He
hyperwave
sustain. I promise you, I'll take care of your mom. I'll bring her back safe. And he doesn't, and that doesn't come back to bite him until way later in the expanded universe. They finally touched up on that, and I was so glad they did, because I was always angry that Roger McBride Allen never gave closure, because Luke made a promise to her daughter, and she died.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh no, what's going to happen now? And they never, I guess he just forgot that he'd planned that in there. But thankfully, Del Rey was paying attention and said, hey, we got a great story here if we bring them back to Pecora. And I think that was during, I think that's Fate of the Jedi series, if I recall. Where they
I haven't read it yet. I'm almost half of the way through Legacy of the Force. So, yeah.
Moving on.
I know most of what happens, you know, because I've read spoilers on Wikipedia and stuff.
Sorry, Tim. Moving on.
It's all good.
Yeah. So, no, you have that one. And then now I got to look at my shelf to make sure I don't miss
Courtship.
anything. Courtship of Princess Leia.
Unless you want to count the Glove of Darth Vader saga.
Yes, I do. You know I do. I love it. It doesn't necessarily contradict anything, folks. You can say, well, at the very end, Luke and Leia are walking down the aisle. Yes, but the authors admit before Timothy Zahn's series just sold like hotcakes, they were going to be extended for 3 more books. But then they went, whoa, we need to be serious about Star Wars. This just sold. And so they cut their order short. So they were going to do 3 more books, and they said, we promise you they weren't going to make it because the Empire was going to come in and bust up that wedding. And they said that was already in the books. We were not going to get them married at that point. We already knew that. So Wolverton's wedding counts. There is no discrepancy. And they didn't ever get married. They were engaged, eloped, and decided at the end. It is very cheesy. Those are some of the best reviews I've ever done. I just laugh. I laugh, and I love them. They are super cheesy, but I love them. In fact, they're not so cheesy now. You think about the replica droid by Leia. Well, Guri was way more lifelike than anyone.
Yep.
And so so he was fooled by a droid? Yes, because you had Guri. Chronologically, you had Guri before then. So there's a lot of things that do kind of make sense, and it is over the top. Someone in my stream the other day came in and goes, "Dark greetings." And I love that. I love the cheesiness.
And the prophets of the dark side?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Prophets of the dark side. Someone's put in Triculus. Good on you, Michael, for knowing him. Jedi Prince Kim. What was it? JJ, his cool beatnik looking
DJ,
droid.
wasn't it?
What was it?
The droid was DJ, wasn't it?
Oh, was it? Oh, yeah, DJ. Never mind, DJ.
I think so.
He looked like a beatnik.
It was JJ be like, dynamite.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, it's so cheesy, it's funny, and there's not many references to that series, obviously. But Luke is not really the focus. He's part of it, but mainly it surprisingly focuses around Han and Leia's relationship a lot. Luke is in it, obviously, because he's dealing with Jedi Prince Ken. He has that storyline going and trying to find out that mystery. But he's not. It's not. You know, they share a good. Everyone gets some time to shine in those novels.
Speaking of Ken, I thought it was funny on some of the covers where they use like Leia's body in the Hoth outfit with Ken's head. It's like, what are they trying to imply here? You know? Well,
Ken wore something very similar.
Yes.
To Leia once on one of the covers. By the way, I'll be honest, those covers for Jedi Prince series are beautiful.
Well, they're classic Drew Struzan. I believe he did those, if I'm not mistaken.
He did. See, I didn't know that, but they're beautiful.
I have a poster over here in a stack of, like, from one of the Galaxy magazines, not from this stack, but from back in the day, that has a bunch of them, and it includes the Trioculus saga covers.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah. And Barnes & Noble did a 2-book hardback reprint of it a few years back. I bought that. I
nice.
Didn't even blink at buying that. Loved it automatically. And let's see. If you want to say Heart of the Jedi, which comes out chronologically after Truce of Bakura, you have Star Wars Missions. There were some young adult books.
I remember those. I have a few.
All of them. Extremely hard to find now, or at least last time I checked. But they are fun. They're young adult little books that came out for Scholastic as part of the Star Wars book club or whatever.
Yep.
You have Luke Skywalker and the Shadows of Minor. Some people hate that. I kind of loved it because they started.
I bought it recently.
Oh, okay. They started tying in the Marvel comic books then, big time.
Well, and there's a theory that it's supposed to be like a holodrama within the Star Wars universe about the main characters. Have you ever heard that theory before?
It was supposed to be what?
It's supposed to be a holodrama about the characters in universe. That's what that. I've read that theory before a few times.
I don't hate it. I need to reread it because a lot of people don't like it.
It's Stover.
But it's Stover, and I thought it was pretty good. And Lord Shadowspawn comes back, Black Stone. I mean, and I was like, oh wow, okay, we're doing Marvel. We're officially committing to Marvel now. There've been drips and drops of Marvel here and there.
Yep.
This time they're going, no, we're all in. All those events happened, and of course, Jason Fry explained the Nagai War and his guide to warfare. So they just fully and wholly brought Marvel comic books from S canon to C canon, and I was super happy about that. But I think that was the book that it just kind of hit me. I was like, oh, they're going full Marvel now. And you know, as Rhino would say, you never go full Rhino. I mean, you never go full Marvel. But yeah. And then for Luke Skywalker, that next would be Courtship of Princess Leia, which he does a little bit there. I don't remember what his story arc is there.
Well, he was kind of hanging around
Witches of Dothamor, and he's kind of, you know, interacting with them. But was there any? Was that about it?
Yeah, and remember he basically got he got cucked out by Geth Zerion. She like went tap, and she like knocked him out, and he's like, man, like the Emperor could have done this at any minute, and I wouldn't have been a match for him.
Yeah.
Pretty stark realization for him. So.
Yeah. There's also, and I'm missing some Dark Horse books. When I don't have the comic books up here, I miss a few things, but I know River of Chaos happened.
Yeah, I have that
around that time, and I'm sure
those were newspaper strips, right? River of Chaos.
Yeah, then you have the newspaper strips, which are fantastic. Dark Horse did an omnibus.
They did Han Solo novels in comic strip form.
Yeah, and those comic strips that Dark Horse reprinted a long time ago, those take place in between it shows the Yavin evacuation, which you think Janjo Donna is dead, but then later on, Michael Stackpole picks up that story later on about what happened from those comic strips. I think the comic strips is where we got Quirrell from Young Jedi Knights. I think, or maybe it was the comic.
How do you spell it?
Is it Quirrell? I can't remember now.
Quirrell.
But Qur from Young Jedi Knights, the TIE fighter pilot that crashed on Yavin.
Oh yes, you're correct.
I think it's a comic book now to think about it. It's called The Day After the Death Star. And Luke is flying out there, and he just comes across a TIE fighter pilot lost after the battle. Shoots them, they both shoot themselves down. He gets out, goes up to the wreckage to kind of kill the guy, and finds out it's just a young kid, just like him. He's like, no, I'm done.
Great story, man.
Gets in a land speeder, drives away, but then leaves the. And Kevin J. Anderson said it always bothered him that the TIE fighter pilot was just out there in the jungle all by himself now. What happened? Because he was still alive. Luke didn't kill him.
So Jason and Jaina find him.
Quirrell came about. Quirrell is the TIE fighter pilot who went down with Luke the day after the Death Star, and he's been living on the jungle planet as a hermit this whole time. Which, thank you. And QORL. Thank you, Michael. But the thing is, though, I never knew that until Kevin J. Anderson revealed it on one of his Q&As at a DragonCon. I was like, holy cow. I didn't even know there was a connection there to the Marvel comic books.
So cool.
And again, the EU, there's way more connections than even I know, folks. I do not know all the connections. And I've read it all.
Neither do I.
I don't know if anyone ever will, because there's just so many. And like you said, you're reading West End Games, you're reading Heir to the Empire going, shut up, that vehicle's in here. Oh, wow, look at that planet. And I'm just reading it going, this is cool. I totally missed it, but I didn't feel like I was missing anything.
Right.
But I know, because like Farlander is mentioned in the New Jedi Order. I didn't know who that was at the time.
Oh, so, Kean Farlander from the...
Yeah, he's an admiral. He's Admiral Farlander. He's in like the one-liner off there. But the thing is that was for those old X-Wing fans and stuff. And so there's tons of little I call those Easter eggs that are in there that wink at the audience who knows better. Like when Tim is reading Heir of the Empire, it's going, we know you're out there, West End Games fans. We got you covered. And that's great. I love that they do that.
You know, they did that annotated Heir to the Empire for the anniversary 10 years ago. But I could do an annotated one and point out all the little references to West End games and to other stuff, and I would have fun doing it. Maybe I need to do a video on that.
People don't know how complex the EU actually is when it comes to attention to detail.
Yep.
No one does. No one does.
I agree.
Let's see. After that, you have Tatooine's Ghost. I don't know if Luke was in that one. I think that focused on Han and Leia.
I didn't like that one. I don't know. I was bored.
Worst. It was.
I was bored.
Liked the characters in it. I liked the idea of it, but that was when they said, "Hey, we now saw episode 1. We're going to spoon feed some episode 1 continuity and cram it into the
exactly."
And I didn't like that. If it was just Luke going with Han back to Tatooine to buy a moss painting, Thrawn under disguise trying to get it too, and there's this internal thing going on, but then you have the 3 squibs that are hilarious. That would have been a fun
that was a good part.
But force feeding us episode 1 stuff was just dumb.
Well, and the whole thing where like TIE fighters are trying to find them, but they couldn't see them because like the heat rising from the desert. I'm like, we've seen A New Hope and you can see far in the distance. I don't know. I thought that was just weird.
I don't remember that, but I believe you that it happened.
Yeah.
It was, and I love Troy Denning, but that's definitely his weakest novel.
Well, and I was, I'm reading Legacy of the Force. I'm on Exile, almost done, maybe 60 more pages. But I didn't like Tempest. It had a different feel to it than the first 2 books did, I felt like. So I'll see what he does on his next book in that 9-book series. But yeah, I wasn't too impressed with Tempest. That's the 3rd book in the 9-book series.
Yeah. But after that, you got Heir to the Empire. We kind of did the introduction there for that. Luke is still registered as a Jedi Knight at this point. He's not Jedi Master status.
Yeah.
People forget about that he's not a master until he declares it in the Jedi Academy trilogy. So he still got and here's the thing. I think those are the last books. Well, not the last books, but the last books where Luke is just regular action Jackson. Going out there, getting the job done, lightsaber and everything. And then kind of starts to calm down when he starts becoming a master and raising his own academy, like all fathers mature after a while, or most do. Some say little children forever, I guess. But it's really a great trilogy, and it feels like the characters. There's a friend of mine who watched episode 7. He was super excited for it, and he complained to me. He didn't know I'd seen it yet. I hadn't seen it. He goes, he said, man, I gotta be honest, I don't like episode 7. There was just something, none of the characters felt real, and the story didn't feel like Star Wars. It just doesn't feel like Star Wars. What do you think? I said, I never saw it because it's not my Star Wars. I said, you want to know what feels like Star Wars, and that's a good pickup from Jedi? He goes, what? I said, the Heir to the Empire trilogy.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And he got it and he read it, and I remember he called me after he read it. He's like, wow. He said, this trilogy feels like the original trilogy sequel.
Yes, it does.
He said, so good. I understand the characters. I get their motivations. Thrawn is excellent. He said, this whole series, he said, what's next? And so I just sent him on the EU path. But he said it just felt more like Star Wars. And this is back before the growing hatred for, Last Jedi had not come out. But he was like, you know what? I'm going to let my son watch the new Star Wars. He said, but that's not for me. That's for him. I'm into this old Star. This EU is what my Star Wars is. I said, yeah. And it's what Star Wars, it's in my opinion, that's all it is. It's the best interpretation of the characters of George Lucas from silver screen to the written page. Read your paper.
Yeah, she, I guess, put it on Discord a while back and had to write a paper for school on Heir to the Empire and why it's the real trilogy, the real sequel trilogy.
Melissa, here's an offer for you. Email contact@theexpandeduniverse.com. I'll put it on the website.
There you go.
I'll post it on the website.
Speaking of which, Do you know when the next one is coming out for me? I submitted it on the 5th of last month. And I'm like,
you? Okay,
yeah, it was on 8/5.
If it was last month, then it's coming out later on this month.
Okay.
Anything you sent out recently is scheduled for October.
Yeah.
We try to keep ahead instead of like behind. We're trying to get a pattern going. So
that's why I sent you so many in a row, so that they'd be in the queue.
That's fine.
You know what I mean? I should have done that from the beginning.
It's coming, but whenever we get them, we're trying to space it out. And right now we're closing up October, but we're moving into November already. But I still have dates open in October. But Melissa, I'd love to. I can publish that on the site. I think that'd be so interesting. So yeah, just send it.
Yeah, just so everyone knows. If you don't already know, I've mentioned it many times on my streams, but I'm casting Heir to the Empire, not really Dark Force Rising or Last Command at this point, and I've done 3 characters. I've done first up was Joris Saboa. Then I did who is second? Talon Card.
You did yes, you did Card next. And then the thing is, I don't want to give it away because I read all these, and this is the problem. a while back, I exposed myself because I was talking about articles that hadn't posted yet. And Dylan reminded me, he's like, you're talking about articles that have not posted. It's like, dadgummit, because I was like, dadgummit, I just kind of no, Melissa, I'll put it in the chat here in just a moment. But I was like, dadgummit. I said, I keep doing that because I'm the one that kind of reads them over and then and pushes online. But then I'm thinking that's all in my head. And I just recently, I think it was earlier this week, I told Tim, I said, Tim, these are great picks because sometimes I don't know them, but when you put the pictures in the side by side, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's why I couldn't do this. I always love this topic, but I didn't want to do it because I'm terrible at actors and actors' names. But Tim finds, not the easy picks you'd probably just go to, the newest, latest, greatest actor out there. He uses people and then he gives his reason why, and it's just so interesting.
Well, and some of these I've had in mind for 30 years. So
well, obviously so. Because but I told you on the last one, like, man, I never would have thought of these, but they are great picks.
Yeah, and then the last 2 I'm gonna do, you guys don't know the next 3, but the last 2 will be Mara and Thrawn. I'll try to get those done this weekend. That way you can have them, in the queue to happen. And then I don't know. I thought like maybe that's what I should just keep doing, like start looking at other series.
Absolutely. I'd love that. I think it's a great idea. And everyone else, I put the email in the chat there. We do daily articles just about. We do breaking news.
Yep.
Updates and everything.
And so Ryan posts stuff on there sometimes.
Yeah, every once in a while when he's not too good for me. But well, you got Spencer doing the Imperial Assault, breaking it down because that is Legends. You have Scott, who is putting out CCG articles of the old collectible card game, which I think is just so fascinating. Jason Ditzel is doing sector by sector, kind of giving you a breakdown, which I think is neat because everyone has their own unique likes about the expanded universe. And I just love his passion for the odd and unique. And so that's kind of cool. You have Dylan doing by the numbers stuff, which is just awesome. It's still coming out in September, and that'll be it. But I'm going to have him on, and we're just going to break down things more because he's going by Goodreads, Barnes & Noble, and Amazon reviews, and basically based off the public's reviews telling you, here's the highest rated novel. Yeah. It may not be what you think, or here's the highest rated author, or here's the highest rated in sales, according to these 3 big websites. And Dylan is a numbers guy. He's always been one. But I love the vast and different areas because the expanded universe has multiple topics. So I put that out there for Melissa. But anyone else who thinks they have a good idea for an article, or you say, I got a good idea for a series, go ahead, pitch it to me. I check that regularly when I'm not super busy. But I now that I'm thinking about it, I don't know if I've checked it in a while, so I need to check it. Tim, when did you send me your last thing? Because I checked that. Oh, you don't send it to that.
Well, I didn't know that. I just
send
sent it to.
No,
Yeah.
he sent it. He has the direct in to Matt Wilkins, so he sends, and that's fine too. You can totally do that, but I have not checked, and I should have. I'm checking it now. What is this? Okay, so
yeah, and you guys are you're gonna love the next three. If you didn't see the first two, if you didn't see Joris and Talon card.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's 5 more that you guys haven't seen. The 3 coming out, and then I'll just spoil the last 2. It's Mara and Thrawn, the 2 biggest characters from that trilogy to be
really good
new characters.
And here again, I have gotten more articles to do. Oh no, don't tell me. Oh my Lanta. I have neglected my duties this month. Oh no, this is not too bad. August 30th. Okay, and then today were the 2 I've missed. So I have checked it, but not in the past 3 days. A shame, or 4 days. Shame on me. So everyone's invited to go send that one. Stig, please don't send your nude photos there again.
Yeah, no D pics. No, but guys, Michael and Stig, the pick I already had picked out and have had, it was confirmed by someone that I streamed with, a major star from my childhood that I got to stream with almost a year ago. And we found out during the stream that he was an EU fan, and it was amazing. He's like, whoa. He's like, that could totally work. It could have worked. It couldn't work now because, everyone's 30 years older. But yeah, I can't wait to release. That'll be the grand finale of that casting call series.
So yeah, like if you have other ideas, feel free to submit them. The more contributors, the better. We're having a great time with it. I've got some work on some postings to do. This past 4 days have been kind of busy for me, so I forgot to check it. But
I need to figure out something to do with this stuff because I've been in this since '87. Like, how can I turn that into something? I don't know.
If you want to write articles about the Galaxy Guides, I'm all for that. I love West End games. It doesn't get enough hype. That you even mention them on this stream is fantastic. Fantastic. Even I forget about them at times.
And you guys were talking about the CCG the other night. That's exactly right. I was going through my cards. I have one of those like lane boxes that you put cards in. And I have a huge number of the cards. So much lore was established, and some of it's hilarious. Like, the Yarkora, that species that's like Yak Face's species.
Yeah.
The description for that says Yarkora, aliens that do this and that. And it's like many of them are tobacco farmers. Because they look like the camel, like Joe Camel from the cigarette.
That's funny.
Amazing. Those guys that did those cards, not only were they creative, but they were funny,
Yeah. No, Scott's really opened my eyes because I never got into the game. But
it's hard to play.
Reading his article, well, it plays a lot like Magic in a way, and I just never got into that card building stuff. But when he writes these articles, like, really, and I had to call him and talk to him about some of that because I was like, that is so intriguing for me. And there's, it's just so much fun to get people from all kind of different walks of life, all different. Oh, it's in the inbox now. Thank you.
No, my
Stig, Melissa. I'm kidding.
My pick was now I'm forgetting his damn name. It's on the tip of my tongue. I can't think of his name, but the article's on theexpandeduniverse.com from about 2 months ago.
I don't know. Spencer's he's gonna change his topic very soon, and Dylan wants October off because he's lazy. I'm kidding. I pick on Dylan. Brian Board comes on there every once in a while, does some updates, has some good ideas here and there. Ryan Kennel when he's not busy.
Which is never. Yep.
Which is never. I'll have him do. I wanted him to do more. My big surprise was going to be he was going to come see me this weekend. I was going to be an unmentioned side trip for him.
Nice.
But I was so way out of the way, and I told him that. I said, don't come see me. I'm so far out of your way. He said, no, dude, I'm coming. And then we talked today. He's like, I don't know, man. I said, dude, that's fine. I told you, I'm a long detour. Don't do it. So he was a little apologetic because he kept promising over and over again. But I seriously don't mind, because I would never drive that far just for me. So I don't mind him doing it. But at the time when I did my stream a few days ago, he was still telling me, no, I'm coming. I'm coming. He said, doesn't matter. He said, I want to come out there. So I was like,
don't come.
Quite a detour. So I was going to have him on the channel and do some stuff with him here, but that's okay. I won't get to meet him. Sadly, I won't get to meet him.
Maybe someday.
We were supposed to. I think everyone knows this now, but I was going to surprise everyone. I was going to Celebration in 2020. I was going to show up. We had talked about this. It was in Anaheim. Dylan, Chris Nelson, Ryan Kennel, and Brian, of course, Borg and I were all going to meet up. I've met Dylan and Brian a lot. I've talked to them face to face, hung out with them. But Ryan and Chris, I'd never got to meet before, and we were going to all meet up before all this went down, but didn't get a chance to do that. So,
I reached out to Evan the other day because I hadn't seen him around, and I guess he was going through some stuff, but I think he's better now. So,
who? Evan?
Yeah, he was going through some stuff, but he's better now. So good for him. Yeah,
good for him.
No, it wasn't another breakup with the girlfriend. It wasn't that. Because he'll tell you for 2 hours about that stuff.
Oh, man, Willie. Only 2, huh? You got the short version.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but no, but we do have a lot of contributors on there. And I like I said, I'm happy to have Tim on there. OG's more than welcome to come on. And I asked her very early.
It's amazing because you see this website out there for years, and now it's like I meet you and like I'm contributing to it. So it's thank you very much for the opportunity.
You're welcome. Thanks for the content. We just wanted something that just talked about Star Wars Expanded Universe. No one's talking about it. Everyone's talking about the new, latest, greatest movie, TV show, book. But the thing is, there are umpteen billion topics of the Expanded Universe that haven't been addressed, of the odd and end ones. We used to have someone that just gave you the things you didn't know. Some tea farmer was making, she was a Expanded Universe fan. She had tea, so she would make her own tea blends and name them after Expanded Universe characters.
Nice.
And after that article came out, I got some. And she would find, EU on Etsy and stuff, EU shirts and stuff, and kind of post where you could get them. And I thought that was kind of cool because she talked about all the merchandise you could find from the Expanded Universe on some of these art sites and whatnot. And I was like, that's great. So in the past, we've had some interesting ones. I'd like Stig to write too, but he has to learn the human alphabet. He's still working on what comes after E.
But yeah, with Luke, you get into the Heir to the Empire, and he's like, Obi-Wan's gone, and now I'm trying to figure things out myself. And then Jedi Academy happens, and you see him grow there. And then all this stuff happens, this weird stuff, like what's it, Children of the Jedi. Well, it's kind of weird. Like he has cyber sex with someone living in a computer.
Let me pause. And Melissa, you laughed, but there was Kip Dur and tea, and it was delish.
Really? Was it dark?
There was a tea named after Kip Dur, Marjay, Jason and Jaina. Anakin Solo had one. Oh gosh, I'm sure Thrawn had one. It's been a while. I still have the tins somewhere because the tins had EU art on them.
Wow.
And I still kept them. So they're somewhere around here. But yeah, they were good. I drank them sparingly, but I do love my tea. I love my tea so much. I went to a tea farm, the first ever tea farm in the U.S., and got some fresh bags of tea that I want to drink now, but I'm trying to save them because they couldn't buy that many bags. He bags them himself by hand, and I'm so excited. I'm a big tea drinker. But with Jedi Academy trilogy, Luke basically again makes another rash decision to kind of promote himself to Jedi Master when he is not ready. He finds that out. He feels, and in a way, maybe he did, maybe not, that he failed Gantoris, that he failed Doran, and he's finding that, oh, I am not ready yet. I'm not the all-wise, all-knowing, and he knows that too. But it's a learning experience for Luke.
Yep.
And Luke's showing he's fallible. Jedi Academy trilogy did a lot for the expanded universe. It included the comic books, which no one wanted to do at first, but Kevin Jansen said, nope, come on, Dark Horse, you're part of this canon too. We're going to make this work. And there's the double-bladed lightsaber came from Kevin J. Anderson.
Yeah,
George Lucas
read the Jedi. Yep.
Loved it, used it in episode 1. That is a fact. That and Coruscant were two things that came from the books. And
at least 2, yeah.
At least 2. I mean, there's some other stuff you could say because in the Droids cartoon, if you watched it, you'd surprisingly see a lot of the prequel stuff in there. And that's because the writers and designers got to open up the vault of Lucasfilm and see all of George Lucas's drawn out ideas that never got put into play. Like the wheel motorcycle, that Grievous drives, a version of that's in Droids. You want to go, it's not pod racing, it's speeder racing.
Yep.
The moons of Bogdan are mentioned. Like that's where Count Dooku's alias was supposed to be from.
Yep.
There is a lot of you would be so surprised about.
I love George Doucette's speeder.
Yeah, all the references in the there's what did he say? They're pod rated. What does Qui-Gon say? They're pod racing on something. What planet was it? Very dangerous. Malastare. Yeah. So they're speed racing on Malastare in one episode of Droids. So you're thinking, oh my gosh, George Lucas just stole everything from Droids. No, Droids looked at all the playbook of George Lucas and said, hey, we'll use all this stuff, which later on got put in the prequels.
There you go.
Droids is EU, all that. There was an article that someone wanted to write for the third Sequart book saying, hey guys, I want to talk about all the connections from the EU and to the movies, the prequels. Can someone give me a list? And man, I just fired off a huge list. He was so impressed, like, I didn't know that. I said, yeah. But I said, I don't know if you can technically say it came from the EU first. It did. It came from Droids first, but they got it from George Lucas. I said, just you want to may want to put that in there. But there's tons of stuff like that. But Jedi Academy trilogy I love it. Stig loves it too. He's a big fan, regardless of what he says, folks. Children of the Jedi, everyone knows. I love Callista. I think she's great.
I know you do.
You don't think. I think that's Callista and Luke all the way, all the way, all the way. And so for me, Children of the Jedi was really good. Also, they had, and this is where the beginning of the Luke problem began for writers. The Luke problem is he was becoming really overpowered as a character. So how do we weaken him? And Bantam went about the wrong idea. They said, well, let's see how we can weaken his strength. So what does Barbara Hamlin do in the first book? Well, she just wears him down, right? He uses the Force so much to survive in the Eye of Palpatine that he's mending his leg with the Force.
Yeah, I remember that. Yep.
He's floating down an elevator shaft, but still manages to hurt himself. He's patching up his bruises with the Force, but because he's exuding so much Force power, he can't be that powerful Force user. And then, Kevin Jansen just lets loose on Luke, which is wonderful. Luke's awesome in Darksaber. But then in Planet of Twilight, she goes, he's on a planet where if he uses the Force, a storm will come up and kill people. So he can't use the Force on the planet. And I thought that's weak sauce. And then Crystal Star, Vonda and McIntyre says, well, the Crystal Star is having some weird effect on Luke on the Force, so he can't use it as much as he would. And it was just that was the
there was that one weird scene where they're in the hotel room or whatever, and it almost sounded like he's holding his lightsaber here and turning it on and off like buzz, and I'm like, what are you doing, Vonda?
Yeah, he's making a Schwartz joke, I think.
Yeah,
my Schwartz is bigger than yours, but anyway,
yeah, almost.
Yeah. But it was not good. And the thing is, it's not that Luke was overpowered. Del Rey got it right later on when they said Luke is his own weakness, his fear. And this is why we forgot to mention Dark Empire. Dark Empire, he finally makes that dangerous step to the dark side. Now, for people who don't like Dark Empire, I'm going to tell you why you're wrong. This is a pivotal point in Luke's life. And Del Rey was so good at picking this out. Because Luke fears falling to the dark side, and that is the closest he ever came. He even admits that he was feeling it too. I mean, he could feel the grip of the dark side on him while under the reborn emperor. That now he's over afraid of going to the dark side. He doesn't want to do anything. So now he takes his time. When the Voggs invade, the guys is like, well, maybe we should talk to him first. Let's not be hasty. You know, he's a pearl clutcher a little bit because he doesn't want to say, let's destroy them. No, that's to the dark side. When Kip Durin, which I will say is always right, says, no, we need to, did you not see he destroyed my entire squad? We need to go after him. We need to nail him and to be honest, that would have been the proper strategy. But Luke's like, no, let's talk to him. Let's have peace. No, he waits a little too long. He waits a little too long for Jason and Legacy of the Force. He lets Jason grab too much power, and he realizes that last minute. But then, when Mara Skywalker dies, Luke can't attack him now because he's afraid that it will be revenge for him. It will turn into revenge, which leads to the dark side. And Luke is so scared he takes 2 steps back instead of 1 step forward, and that's a great, weakness to stop. Because Luke is the most powerful being in the world, but that you don't have to do something that, boxes in his powers. Do something that destroys his psyche. And in the Dark Empire really scared him because he's like, I'm on the precipice. It's almost like Gandalf scared of getting the One Ring, because if you give this to me, I'll become a tyrant. I mean, he's scared when Frodo goes, here, you take it. No, what are you doing? And that's what Luke is like. It's like, do not tempt me with the dark side. Do you understand? I would be 10 times of Darth Vader if I turned. And so, like Gandalf, he's got to walk this path, but he's got to be careful not to follow the dark side. He's a little too jumpy at that, which causes hesitation, which leads, even Gandalf kicks himself for not telling the hobbits to skedaddle earlier, right? Yep. His hesitation is his weakness. And so I love that they give Luke this hook here that was created in Dark Empire. Is like, I can't ever do this again. It's like an alcoholic saying, if you give me one, I can't just take one taste, and you won't like who I am later.
It's the same thing with Superman. Like what can stop Superman other than kryptonite and red sun radiation? It's his own apprehension to unleash his full power, right? Yeah. That's the only thing that makes him hold back. So kind of similar there.
And he's super powerful. I love how they create Luke later on. That you've read the Young Jedi Knights series. He sits on the Witches of Dothamor. They don't know who he is. They just know he's a man who can't use the Force that much. And he makes that Rancor, who's on a mantle, grin, shoot off the wall, spin around the room, and shoot up through the roof and just keep going out into space. And I was like, yeah, I love those super powerful moments. I like when Luke looks at a 4-legged walker, does that, and the head just explodes. Yeah. I like when Jason thinks he is the biggest of the bad and he can do anything. And remember, in the Joiner King trilogy, Dark Nest trilogy, that's what it is.
Yeah, Dark Nest.
He is doing stuff that even Luke doesn't know how he's doing. So Jason gets a little cocky in Legacy of the Force and thinks that he actually is a match for Luke. And Luke, as he's walking away, is like, you can do all those things, Jason, but can you stand? And as he's walking away, Jason realizes Luke has pinned him to his chair. And he can't get it. And he's screaming at his uncle to let him go and release him.
I haven't gotten to that book yet, but that sounds hilarious.
Oh, dadgummit, I'm so sorry.
I don't care. I'm not a spoiler guy. Trust me.
But he just does this or something, and suddenly Jason can get up. But just as, when Jason thinks, I am a match for you, Luke, Uncle Luke, he is, no, you're not. And Faye the Jedi even does some awesome things too. I'm not going to spoil anything else. I don't want to do spoilers, but Luke does. He's so good. He's like, did you think Because I guess you have the battle with Lumia and Luke is great. It's great.
I read that in the last book in Tempest. They have the duel with Mara and Alima on the space station.
Okay, but have you seen Luke versus Lumia?
That's one-on-one. Not yet. That comes later.
It's a well, you know,
it comes later.
It's funny in a way. It's funny, but it shows just how powerful he is and how he's not playing around. Their first matchup, he had the Shotu blade again, and they're fighting like they did back in the comic book, which I thought was cool. But we find out all the time Luke can take on anyone at any time, and he's basically playing with you.
Yeah.
And I love that they say, "Don't mess with me." You think I've lost it? You think just because I don't want to use my power, I can't?
Right.
No, I can crush your head, little man. and Luke doesn't do that in a bullying way. He does that to humble his opponent or to show him, okay, you need to calm down. Yes, I am super powerful. Boom. And then you're done. And I love that. I love that. But he doesn't want to abuse that power because, again, what happened to him in Dark Empire haunts him for the rest of his life. And I like that. I like that. Character definition. I don't like Superman because he doesn't have a single weakness besides kryptonite. They found enough kryptonite to build his whole planet all over again. Then they did the whole magic realm, you know, where anything magical can hurt him. So a ton of magical characters attacked him in DC comic books, which became kind of drawn out and boring. So then DC went, oh, what else? Oh, the sun gives him his power. So let's send him out into outer space where he's not as powerful, you know, where he can come across Lobo and get beat up a little time. You talked about one of those comic books there. Actually, that's the whole stencil graph thing.
Lobo is cool.
During that, I love Lobo. But then they did Final Night, which they destroyed the sun, and that Luke.
Green Lantern,
Superman was losing his power and stuff. Yeah, Parallax.
Hal Jordan.
Yeah, and so, but anyway, I'm getting off topic. But Luke is almost like Superman, but he has a conscience. He has a fear of going to the dark side, and that's what the beautiful thing is about him. He can be powerful. It's not about. And some of the Bantam authors just got it wrong. They thought it was about subduing his power. No, it's subduing his conscience. It's his conscience is what's going on. And that Dark Empire story is right there. And it was perfect. I don't know who it was who thought about that and started that story plot line, but it happened in New Jedi Order, and it was really good because it kind of made you aggravated with Luke that he wasn't going after him. And he could take on anyone. I mean, at the end of it, Warlord Shimmer, no match. No match for it. Almost felt anticlimactic because Luke is powerful. Yes, the Vong threw him for a loop, but guess what? Luke always learns. He learns, he gets better, he adapts.
I have another thing I want to share here, but before we get into that, like really quick, let's hit on Union.
Okay.
The comic book.
I know.
So what did you think of that? Did you think it was I
hated it.
Why?
It's 4 issues of something that should be monumental, should have been a novel. It was too generic.
I saw you say that before in a video.
The artwork was terrible too. The cover art I wasn't a fan of either. He goes into a bar with all his buddies. They get into a fight. Do we need that?
It's annoying.
Yeah.
You're right that the art sucked, that it wasn't a novel, because you had like moments with Tycho and Wedge, characters I love, but they were wasted.
This should have been a WrestleMania main event.
Yeah.
And they just threw it away on a episode of Thunder or something. I mean, it's just
curtain jerking on WCW Saturday Night.
Yeah. Oh, even better. WCW Saturday Night. The Finley brothers.
Yeah.
God, dog. Norman Smiley.
Or Barry Darsow doing his golf gimmick, when he was putting. Yeah.
Where Finley can main event. The only place he'd main event at. What a terrible. All your C and D characters came out. But Scott and Steve Finley, for anyone keeping score at home. And they were tag team partners. Anyway. That's what I felt like. They took this great moment. They said, how can we waste this opportunity to tell a beautiful story? And they did. They said, let's just do a 4-issue comic book series. It's almost like they didn't care. I mean, Stackpole was in on that too. So, but the thing is, though,
that's why you had Tycho in them.
There wasn't much to write. Yeah, and when did Tycho become his best friend? But I just know Tycho. I know the X-Wing, so Wedge has always been there too. Yeah, and Wedge and Luke were friends, but you know, Wedge has been doing his own thing. Luke's been doing his own thing. No, I'm not saying they still, he wouldn't be at the wedding and wouldn't be part of the wedding groom's party, but I don't know. I just felt like, you know, what they did a bar drinking scene, a bachelor party scene, I guess, for comedy effect.
Yeah.
They tried to put a imperial, you know, the imperial trying to resist, like this marriage was an insult to everything against the empire, and it didn't really translate that well.
It didn't make sense. Yeah.
And I really did not like Union. I really did not like Union. I mean,
but are there
character
defining moments?
Maybe I rained on everyone's parade. Tim, am I wrong? Is there something redeeming about Union?
I think, like you said, it's a big missed opportunity, you know. And again, like for Luke Skywalker, were there any defining character moments in that series, in that 4-issue series?
No, and you look at the courtship of Princess Leia, where Dave Wolverton wove this wonderful relationship in there. And of course, Han and Leia are different. They got a love-hate relationship, but I love it. But Luke and Mara is a little, she's rough around the edges. She's impatient. She's quicker to anger. Luke is a good balance for her, right? And so the two of them do have their differences too. We could flesh that out. We could give them more character. We could have an adventure of what they go through, and they bond together, feel they're stronger.
It's like the perfect analogy of, you know, the extremes of the logical, rational man and the irrational, emotional woman. You know, bring them together, and this is what makes like a good marriage.
It makes a good match, and you can put some good stories in there where they learn lessons about each other, and they you know, maybe Luke says, hey, you know, you're right, Mara, I should be quicker to action. Mara goes, yeah, and I should think before I do something, you know, something like that, where they learn a little lesson and they learn from each other, and they realize, like, maybe Mara's the one getting cold feet.
Yeah,
thinking, well, I don't know if I ever want to do this, and then she realizes, I mean, they kind of already did this in Hand of Thrawn. I get it. Or no, what was it? What was Timothy Zahn's last book?
Choices of One.
No, Survivor's Quest. Survivor's Quest.
It wasn't his last book, I don't think.
Well, I'm sorry, in the timeline.
Oh, in the timeline. Yeah.
Survivor's Quest. They're on a mission together, and they find out that they really work well together, and I like that. But that was through the Force. I want something with their characteristics outside of the Force, their personas, who they are. I want to see that connection too. What Survivor's Quest did was really nice and beautiful. They realized that they were a great team and they should be together. That's through the Force. That's wonderful. Let's look at some other things too, like our personalities. We really complement each other and stuff. I wanted to see there was more to that relationship than Union could have given us.
Yeah.
And I just felt that it was just like a, you know, that music, wah, 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 you know, just wasn't that good.
So he's in the Young Jedi Knight series. Kind of cool that, you know.
Yes.
That, man, I almost have all those, but there are so many books in that series.
Yes,
so many. But the book that, so one thing, before I show this, so in Vector Prime, I thought it was really cool whenever they capture a coral skipper. And they're like, how do these things work? And they climb inside, and he puts on like the cognition hood. He just puts it on. I'm going to see what this thing does. It's just like, I don't know. It was just kind of cool that he's like this weird thing, this organic thing, and he puts it on. I thought that was cool. But the book in that series, to me, that just was another defining moment. I'm going to try and find a page in here. Not like from the story, but from something else. Where the hell is it? I'm sure I have the right copy. Up here it is. It's Star by Star, and it's signed at Celebration 2 by Troy Denning in 2002, right when the book came out, actually. So,
oh wow,
pretty cool. But in this book, he pretty much decides that I have to come back. I'm back as a warrior, right? Because he had kind of done, okay, we're Jedi, you know, we're kind of separate from the government, but he's back in this. He's leading a fighter squadron. He's flying an X-wing, and he's in the war because it's what he needs to do. It's his duty, you know. And I thought that was kind of cool, like that attack that they do, and it says something like they came out of hyperspace and then still at sublight speed at like almost the speed of light, they do this bombing run. And I'm like, that's just so cool. Like Luke is back, you know, the ass kicking Luke, because he has to be, not because he wants to be, but he knows that the galaxy, not just the New Republic, but the galaxy needs a Jedi Master.
Yes.
And his students, not his students, his knights, to kick some ass. And I thought that was really cool in this long ass book. So that, to me, that's when he came back in Star by Star. Because in the other books, he's kind of like there, and yeah, he's fighting, but he's still like, oh, what are the Jedi going to do?
He's in the background. He finally decides it's time to start taking action. Again, in typical fashion, he waited too late. He regrets that decision, but he didn't want to just go out and say, wipe them out, all of them, and take unnecessary steps to the dark side. But he's a little overcautious at times, but I like that. I like that. That's Luke's weakness from holding back.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a great idea. You know, they wanted him to be Dark Jedi and
Sith. They wanted him to be Sith. Yeah.
And George said no. And then they got more creative, which I'm happy for, and created the Vong.
Well, sorry to hear about that. Quietly Quiet. We're glad you got it. Glad you got it back.
Hurricane Idaho.
And hey, Jaylee. Idaho. Yeah. Hurricane Idaho.
Yeah, but it's just it just made, and everyone, I remember there were some naysayers and people hate New Jedi Order, and they go, oh, they don't exist, they exist outside the Force. That's so stupid. But they're from another galaxy, first off, and then plus, when the Ysalamiri were created by Timothy Zahn, no one complained that they lived in a bubble outside the Force. No one complained about that.
Plus, I'm trying to remember West End Games, the Chirin from Other Space and Other Space 2 were the adventures. They had organic technology, and they had this cult. I think that's really where they based the Vong. I'm trying to remember if they were outside the Force.
No, well, we were never told. I don't think they came across Force users. I love Other Space. Other Space, they ripped through into our dimension. They come from an area where the galaxy is black. Their stars are all dead.
Yep.
They've destroyed everything. They're nihilists. They believe in it's like the
void.
Yeah, the void. They're the Thanos of the universe. They just want to see darkness, blackness, death everywhere. And so they rip through the void into our dimension. It's one of the few mentions of interstellar dimension, other dimensions. Walru obviously is a creature of another dimension. But Other Space was really cool. That's an awesome story. It's one of my favorite stories from West End Games, actually. You touched on Other Space. You got me happy. In fact, Joe Bongiorno twists that against me and says that, see, Disney canon in the EU can exist just in different dimensions. I was like, I don't even want to talk to you, Joe. But Other Space is one of the things that he uses. I said, well, if the Other Space aliens go in and invade Disney space, then yeah, I'm all for that. Then they wipe them out. I'll read that.
Send the Chirin to the Disney universe then. That's, I'm all for that.
That's the issue there. And then it continues.
That's what Kathleen Kennedy's going to do to say, or that's what John and Dave are going to do.
Yeah, Luke and Han look peek through into that universe and go, what the F is going on? What is going on? Is that a rock? Is that guy using the lightsaber as a helicopter? What is that all about? What is that how you use hyperspace? Insert Rhino's tagline.
Who's that guy like pumping blue milk out of a giant alien dinosaur tent?
Oh, yeah. Look at you. Did you leave Leia? Was it for another woman? No, it was for a Wookiee. Oh. Then they say, we got to close this. Not because we're afraid of those aliens getting in. We just don't want any of this getting in.
Yeah.
Any of this universe getting in. Hurry. Get yourself
man.
Leia goes, is that me or is it Mary Poppins? What is going on? So there's just so many things that lead to hilarity. But also in the Marvel universe, old Marvel comic books, Lando travels briefly to another dimension in one comic book. And so there's some interdimension travel here and there, but Other Space is really good. It has a really awesome
fun. I have both of the adventures from back in the day.
Because that crew, your crew, has to stop them.
Yeah.
And I love the idea of Other Space. My favorite from West End Games is Dark Strider Campaign.
Show these people what
which was done
Sharon
the same time
like.
as Voyager, and everyone calls it a Voyager ripoff, but they swear they did not know about Voyager when they were writing this. And these came out at just about the same time. And to be honest, to be called a Voyager ripoff is sad, because Voyager, and I don't like Voyager.
It either.
Not a Voyager fan, and I think Dark Strider Campaign is fantastic.
This is what the Chiron from Other Space look like. They're not insectoid, they're arachnoid.
But the thing is, and let me make sure before I say it, it seems like in one of the pictures they have this crazy look in their eye, like they're insane. And
let me see if I can find another one here.
I may be making. I think it was on the cover. I don't keep any of these in. Well, I try to keep them in order, but obviously those individual. No, I have it. Those individual issues I don't have in a certain order here.
I think this art here is from part 2, from Other Space 2 Invasion, because the first one, the player characters go into Other Space, and in Other Space 2 they come into.
They come into
our.
Yeah. Oh man, they're just creepy. They're fun. Maybe I should do some. Now you got me loving on some.
And that was a hard adventure. Like, you could lose your player character in that adventure, both of them, because it was difficult.
Yeah. It wasn't like a reset. It wasn't like or you can revive them. They are gone forever. You gotta get a new character. The stakes are high in that adventure. But to be honest, it made them all the more. They were before the Vaughn came along. That was probably one of the most menacing races you could imagine. You know, for me it was.
Yeah, but they definitely had to have based the Vong on that concept, because you're not allowed to do Sith. Okay, well, let's come up with something else. It's Matt Wilkins, Quietly Quiet.
Yeah, it's so
with the lowercase w.
Anyone was on YouTube 15 years ago, and you just didn't have you didn't know to put a cool name, so I just put my own name on there.
You know, one of the first videos I remember on YouTube, there it is, from Alora, is this guy, what's his name? DJ Smooth. He made this music video, Notorious B.I.G., what was the name of that song? Get Money. But he used G.I. Joe clips, and basically, like, Destro is Notorious B.I.G. and Lil Kim is Baroness. It's still out there. I remember seeing that, like, someone posted it on MySpace, but that's one of the first YouTube videos I saw. And he syncs up all the lyrics with the mouth movement of the cartoons. And yeah, DJ Smooth, really freaking cool video. But anyway.
You know what, though? You've really got me thinking about starting to go through each one, because I kind of gave a long time ago, before I did my expanded universe, I did just a quick overview of everything from West End Games. I didn't go into detail, but man, just kind of talking about West End Games again, you got me jonesing to go back through these and kind of do.
Well, if you ever have a West End stream or whatever, let me know, because I have.
Yeah,
I'm probably missing. I hate to say it, but I don't have the Dark Strider campaign, because that was toward the end, and I was really busy working and going to college.
Yeah, Lords of the Expanse was later.
I don't have that either. No.
As was the Far Orbit. I think the Far Orbit project was.
Don't have that either.
They did. I think that was the last thing they. At first, I thought it was Dark Strider campaign, but I think 1998 was Far Orbit project, and then they lost the rights. Right.
Actually, I have Far Orbit, I think.
Okay.
I don't have Lords, and I don't have any of the Dark Strider. Want them.
Lord of the Expanse was hard to find back in the day for me.
Because that was basically what wound up being the Imperial Remnant, right?
Yeah, well, there's a outer realm edge that is controlled by the Empire here, and it's a very interesting story. In fact, everything West End Games had such an imagination. They had such an imagination back in the day.
Yeah.
For just everything. I mean, even their supplement novels. I'm trying to look through here and see if I can find that other space. But, and just the ideas that had the way they enriched it. They are the unsung hero when no one else cared about Star Wars. West End Games led and the thing is, I used to look at these all the time at my comic book store, but I never got it because back then I was like, oh, look, some Star Wars pictures and stuff. That's cool. But yeah, I wasn't even, because the Thrawn trilogy hadn't come out yet, so I wasn't really collecting that much.
I remember I would go to bed at night in anywhere from 87 to 94, and I would get in bed with one of the books and just read it and look at it, and because it was all this information, you know, that you could look at, and there wasn't a lot out there. There wasn't. We're spoiled now. There's thousands of comics and books and reference books, literally. Back then there wasn't. So to see something like that, it was really cool to have.
Oh yeah.
I like your background. I posted this on Twitter. So since we're, like we mentioned earlier in our housing talk, we're going to go ahead and design a house and build. I'm going to have, I mean, this room is dedicated to being a studio. This is my son's old room, but I'm going to have, it's going to be better, and I'm going to be able to put all my shit in there. And I posted this on Twitter, and this is what it's kind of going to look like. I'm going to have like my books and everything, and I just kind of Photoshop myself in front of it. So I ordered another bookshelf yesterday, actually, because I ran out of space.
Yeah, if another house does work out, I'll have more people. Are, if they come to see me, they're surprised at how small this room is. I shoot videos from every different angle, and everyone thinks, oh wow, he's in another room. No, it's the same room. I just turned the camera 90 degrees, and that's where I film everything. I mean, everything, but the room itself is small because it's wall to wall books and shelves and stuff like that. And I remember Dylan and Jeremy from Stupid Chainsaw Productions, when they came to visit me, they go, we thought this would be a lot bigger. I was like, yeah, this is it. This is it. This is my little shack. But if we move into another place, it is going to be a lot bigger. And not that I need more room to do videos, this is fine, but I may do some rearrangement. But I like having what I have, maybe get both. As you see, I have both my shelves over here. Maybe put them more center and put the camera more center into it. But yeah, that's fun, exciting.
Yeah, and I can't stream in there now because like that's like a den, and it's separated by two arch doors that don't have doors. They're just, you know, entryways, and then a fireplace on both sides. So I'd be in there like, you know, yelling and stuff, and my wife's watching TV in the next room, so that would not work at all. And I could hear her too. So anyway, plan is to get a room big enough to where all my Star Wars, and not just Star Wars, but all my nerd stuff I can fit in one room, and then kind of put the desk sort of in the middle. What if I put it on a turnstile, and if I'm doing a Star Trek stream, I just turn the desk and then Star Trek's on this wall, and then
that's awesome.
I don't know, I'm going crazy here, but
it's 360. You have Marvel and DC content on this side, then you
Doctor Who and
Doctor Who. Hold on, let me get my background. Swivel to your desk.
Just get a green screen, you know. It's like
yeah, may as well. Not as cool. Not as cool.
Yeah, but that's kind of the plan. Plus, it'll be like the master bedroom is over here downstairs, and the studio will be upstairs above the garage in the opposite corner, so she can sleep and I'm not disrupting her and all that. That'll be cool. So
depending on what house we get next, I'll be moving upstairs for all my stuff, and I don't want to be hauling bookcases upstairs.
Oh man.
I will, and then that's the other thing, unpacking everything and then packing up in order again. The shelf's gotten more since the 11 years or 12 years going on now. Shoot, in 2 more days. Oh, this Sunday. No, Monday.
Well, when I moved in, what are you
So-
getting?
Huh?
What are you getting?
Nothing.
Oh,
We
well,
were
when I
hoping to
moved
get a
in,
house.
oh,
We may make another offer for another house, but it'll be 12 years. But the thing is, though, 12 years ago, I didn't even have this much. I didn't have any of the West End game stuff 12 years ago. So there's even more to move, plus the board games. I love my board games, and there's way more of that too.
yeah,
So
you do love those board
it's going to
games.
take a little bit longer to move out of this house. But back then I had an apartment. I could just every day just slowly move stuff into the house.
Yeah, when we moved here in 2016, I came up with a process for Star Wars books and stuff because I got tired of it. So I would put them in boxes in order as best I could. Then I would label the boxes. Like number 1 means it starts at the very beginning of where I want to put them so that I'm not opening it's not the right box. And it worked out pretty good. So that's kind of what I did.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Yeah. I just, I don't know. I haven't given it much thought yet about how I'm going to pack things up. I'd like to do it one room at a time as always, but this is a little bit bigger project than I've done apartments. This is the house I moved into once I moved out of my apartment. So it's been up with us for years now.
Yeah.
And, close. I think if I would have hustled on it, I could have paid it off next year too. But,
Dang.
just, we thought, why not get a little extra stretch room?
Yeah. Why not?
I got my twins. So.
Yeah. But that's kind of Luke Skywalker. You go through NJO and we kind of touched on Legacy and then he comes back as a Force Ghost to Cade and Legacy. So just a very dynamic character and not a simple character as some weirdos in the media that think that they're sophisticated would tell you. The hero's journey is not simplistic at all. I'm sorry. It's simple, but it's not simplistic, if that makes sense.
And it makes for good storytelling. There's so many times you can poop on the hero's journey thing a million times, but you can also name a million great movies and films and TV shows based off that concept.
Mm-hmm.
It's just good storytelling is what it is. It's good storytelling and everyone does it and everyone loves it and everyone consumes it. If you step away from that, if you try to make something, you'll see a lack in numbers. You'll see, you won't see the return that you would because people love that story. People love this. People love beautiful sounding music, not you screeching and banging on a tin can. It's not, your mom may like that for like 2 seconds, but no one else is. You got to give them quality. And yes, I am thinking about Professor Geek when I say some of this stuff.
Who's that?
Professor Geek's a pretty good guy.
I don't know who it is. What does he do?
He's getting down on superhero movies and why they're trash now and why they're what they're doing wrong. And he also does EU book reviews chapter by chapter. He really breaks it down. He's an English major at a college, very well spoken, can tell you why the expanded universe is solid reading. He's been going through Darth Bane. He just wrapped up the latest book. But he says a lot of things that Tim says. That's correct. Yeah, he's a really good guy. You need to check him out.
Just say stuff that reminds me of him. Well, I try to get very detailed and esoteric in a lot of my reviews. My Bloodlines review, man, I've got to finish it. I've been working on it for like over a month, but yeah. And I'm 2 books behind, but this book was amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And Melissa says there is another type of story. A stranger comes to town.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Yojimbo or Fistful of Dollars and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And The Wraith with Charlie Sheen.
That's because he's hungry, Melissa.
Shit, what else was I was gonna bring up something else. Oh, I know what it was.
All right.
The Babylon 5 novels. I'm going to make a video on the novels. the reading order, what they tie into and stuff. If you have not read those, you need to do it. By the way, I bought pristine copies of a couple of the trilogies, and I could sell one of them for over $100 on eBay right now. Because what happened is it had a short print run, and a lot of people kind of hoarded it. And about 20 years ago, around 2000 to 2005, something like that, it was going for $300 on eBay because people wanted to read it, but they couldn't find it. And that one was, I think it was Out of the Darkness, the third book in the, what was the name of that? The Centauri trilogy is what we call it. Legion of Fire trilogy.
Okay.
And yeah,
wow,
so I found pristine copies of all three of those. I found Passing of the Techno Mages, and I already had copies that I actually read, but I'm keeping these nice and crisp, just like all my Heart of the Jedi copies, by the way. How much is that going for?
I don't know. Of course, the price cooled a little bit.
Yeah.
Toward the end, but I don't keep up with the numbers on that anymore.
I need to go look it up later because I have some copies.
I just love all the people who, for weeks, when I was telling them buy a copy, $10, get $10, buy a copy, they went, oh, it's gone. I was gonna buy it on my next paycheck. You don't have $10. That means you didn't want it enough. I'm not saying you're not an EU fan. I'm just saying I've seen so many lame excuses about why they didn't get a copy when it was out, even though I was barking on it for like 2.5 weeks. People just didn't believe it was ever going to go away, and then they missed out on it. And I don't blame the scalpers one bit for jacking up the price.
Oh no, it's that's the market. But
yeah,
when your boys sent me that message on Twitter the day that it was out, they sent me a message, and I'm like, I looked at it on Amazon. I'm like, whoa, this is cool. And I went live. I didn't even make a video. I was working right here, and I had on like my polo in case I'm on like a conference call. At least I look professional, but I'm probably wearing shorts or something. But yeah, I go live, and I'm like, okay, they sent me this link. The book, you could read it on what is it, StarWarsTimeline.net, but this is a print copy you can order. I would get it as soon as you can. And that video got like tons of views and stuff, but I immediately went to Amazon and I bought some copies. That's all I'm going to say. I bought some copies. If I ever read it, I'll read it on the website because I don't want to bend the spine of the books.
Yeah, I bought it I bought it when it came out. I bought one copy to give to a buddy of mine. I already have a copy.
Mm-hmm.
But I do like this cover better. Someone, I still don't know who it is, sent me a copy.
Nice.
Because I thought Amazon had made a mistake and sent me two. And then I realized, no, this is someone else who, and it's a short list of who it could be, but no one ever fessed up to it.
Yeah.
Someone bought me another copy. And that's funny because now I have an extra one here. And I do love the cover art and everything, but I bought a copy to give to someone who didn't get the first run. Because the first run is even harder to find. That's the where is it? The hardback.
Hardback, huh?
Yeah, hardback.
When was that?
That was back in 2014.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I missed that.
This hardback, I don't think I'm lying. Chris Nelson says he knows of two, and one of them's mine. These were on sale very briefly for like 1 day. If you did not order it, Lulu was canceling those orders made. There was a few books that got out. I ordered this and 2 paperbacks, and my 2 paperbacks went to Joe and Kenneth C. Flint because he did not get a copy in time. But I kept my treasured hardback of it. And sadly, you make a print through Amazon, it doesn't do hardbacks. I wish it would, because I'd love to get that in hardback.
Well, the thing about, I think I talked about this on that short live stream I did that day, is the cover art looks Bantam. It just does. It looks like
someone, it was, based off the old art. And then what someone did on this one is they added the background to the paperback of Corsair Princess Leia on it, which actually meshes really well. The other one, I think, was just some stock desert photo, which was fine. This one had, the other one had the empty bars here on the side. This one has the filled in bars. So I like that too. There's a lot of things. And then they also added the Bantam label on the spine.
Yeah,
there.
I saw that. Yeah.
That was really genius, and mine doesn't have that. So this slight redesign looks a lot better. Looks a lot better. So I'm glad I do have a copy, but I bought one. And then I had to make sure Kenneth C. Flint got a copy again, and he did this time around. But I had called Joe and said, hey, look, I got a copy coming in. I didn't think about Ken. Does he need this copy? He's like, no, I ordered one for him. I was like, okay, good. But it was really good for him to see what a big hubbub it was when it came out. And that was, he missed his time in the sun. If this book would have come out back in the day, it would have been on the New York Times bestsellers list. And who knows, he may have caught on and, lived his dreams out as a prolific writer, like Stackpole, Anderson, a bunch of these
Travis
writers went on to write, more stuff.
Yeah.
So, and
I'm just glad some people got
made
their
their career, but it did create new influx of fans they didn't have before.
I just thought of, I was going to ask, what's going on with the Hungarian translations of the Han Solo novels?
Sure. The first one's translated. I hear the second one is now too. The other two will be done. All this is going to be done end of the month. Joe is finishing up Supernatural Encounters. It should be coming out later on this month. After that, a renewed focus on the translations will be happening. The German Ewok stories will be coming out very soon because those are easier to translate. There's 2 of those. And then the 4 Han Solo Hungarian novels. I've read the first one. I reviewed it on my channel. I thought Joe had sent it to me. He did not. He was asking me how I got a copy, and I felt bad. So I'm not going to review any more until they're all coming out. They will be coming out on Joe's channel, StarWarsTimeline.net, late this year. But Supernatural Encounters, which is an official approved Lucasfilm Legends story. It was approved with Abel G. Pena Skywalkers. He's coming out with the final finished version of it. There's the Hungarian Han Solo novel.
That's from my video last year.
Yeah. And by the way, folks, those are getting a translation. I will tell you this. It is in the spirit of Brian Daley's Han Solo books. I did enjoy them.
And go ahead.
No, please.
I was going to say, and you could argue that these were official because even though they stopped printing them after, Lucasfilm found out, they had to pay them money, is from what I understand.
Off of that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
this is the unique thing about this whole situation. Valhalla Publishing, which I believe is the name of this company, had the rights to reprint the Star Wars books in Hungarian. But what they didn't have the right to do was write new adventures, because these books were flying off the shelves. People were asking for more, and they didn't have any new things. They were just reprinting the old. They said, hey, let's go ahead. We have the rights, and let's go ahead and write our own. And Dale Avery, who wrote most of these, I think he's even Ed Fisher. It's a fake name.
Correct.
But I think he's even Ed Fisher too.
And they tried to tie that into Carrie's father's name and all that. Yeah.
Right. But it's the same author for all these books.
Yep.
They're big fans of Brian Daley's trilogy. They wanted to continue Han Solo's adventures. And I will tell you this, it is in the vein of those books. Don't think these are just cheap little knockoffs. They did take their time. They did do a good job. I mean, the writing may seem a little dated like the older books would, but remember, these came out. Tim, correct me if I'm wrong. I think this was early 90s or late 80s. I can't remember.
Yeah, that's correct.
Lucasfilm didn't know about them until the reprints came out in the late 90s. They went, whoa, what's going on here? We have the internet now. What is this? They said, stop, cease and desist. So here's the tricky thing. Are these canon? Because they did have to pay royalties back to Lucasfilm on them. They were The license was officially bought and rendered to the company. However, they did not have the permission. They had the licensing rights, the publishing rights, but they didn't have the permission to write 4 more books. So it becomes a question, and this is where I'd love to see Leland Chee pop in, or someone from Lucasfilm pop in back in the day and give us their judgment, because I didn't know about them in the late 90s. I did not know.
Me neither.
I found out about these maybe 10 years ago or 9. I mean, it was more earlier. And I was like, whoa, what is all this here? And it was officially advertised as novels. Yeah. So the thing is, though, is this EU? I would argue that it is, and it's really good. Maybe. Don't know.
I think I know where he's going with this, because Stieg talks about this a lot, and actually so do I, and I have for many years. Other than Han Solo S.A. Fed Vajaskozak, which is reusing a cover from one of the Platt Starport guides from West End Games. The other 3 are very 80s, 90s sci-fi art, which is a good thing. They kind of remind me of stuff like the Stainless Steel Rat novel covers and stuff. You don't see covers like this anymore. It's some ugly, minimalist, like abstract cover art that you see on novels these days. This is really cool. Yes. Original painted action scene art, and especially that one on the right. Amazing.
Yeah, it looks beautiful. It's great. If you notice on the corners of these, I like how you got these pictures here. It says 4, 5, 6, and 7. It was a continuation of Brian Daley's series. Now, you don't have to read the first 3; they're individual adventures, but it keeps following the adventures of Han and Chewbacca before A New Hope, and that's where these all take place. Which it doesn't contradict any of the already established canon. And like I said, the stories hold up pretty well. I haven't read them all, but the ones that I have hold up pretty well. And I'll be doing reviews on all of them once they get their official release. Same thing with the little Ewok short stories and the upcoming Supernatural Encounters, which has 400 more pages than it did years ago when I first read them.
Oh, and that one has so many connections. It really starts with that weird story where like Luke and Leia make a jump like outside the galaxy, and they meet that one being, and there's all kinds of crazy stuff in that one, guys. So definitely check that out.
Yeah, Joe Bongiorno's novel is coming out later on this year, and I do know that recently Lucasfilm did acknowledge that was an official project.
Which one?
They put it on their StarWars.com a long time ago, but recently someone checked with Lucasfilm about it. They said, yeah, that was an officially, that was official order from us to complete.
There it is, right there.
Everything.
They used that art on that one.
I didn't even realize that. They just mirrored it.
Yep.
How smart.
Mm-hmm. I have this book too.
Yeah, that's great.
It's pretty cool. It's a thick book. Like, it just has a lot of different starports, and it's painted art, so it's not like really detailed, but it's still cool. It does Kuat. Like, what do the space stations at Kuat look like? But anyway, I just wanted to get an update on that, because hadn't heard anything since I put this video out, really, because I know that you guys were having some issues with your translator and stuff.
They did for years, but they got a great team working on them, and they're almost through with it. There's a lot of fun things, folks, that, I mean, obviously, we'll be finding out. It's going to be an exciting month with Supernatural Encounters, but that's not the only surprises that he has up his sleeve. There is no other new unpublished fiction. I don't want to get anyone's hopes up, but just there's some other fun projects coming out too. But the translation should be out, I believe, by the end of the year, unless that's changed. The Ewok one should be out shortly after. He's trying to focus on finishing Supernatural Encounters. So you'll see those little 2 Ewok German stories from wherever he got them next. and then later on, the Han Solo Hungarian novels translated to English. It's going to be so much fun. There's so much going on. You're going to find a few more fun things. He has a few more fun announcements too, I think, to make. I don't think, hold on, let me make sure he hasn't made any of those announcements. But yeah, it's going to be it's always fun to be a Star Wars fan, but right now it's an exciting time, especially with all this other stuff coming out.
You're funny, quietly quiet. But have you done your channel update yet? Because I know that you're very diligent the first week of doing a channel update on your channel, like an actual video.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, good. I must have missed that because
I just filmed it tonight.
Oh, you haven't posted it yet, though.
It'll come out Monday.
Okay. So, do you want to plug anything you have coming up?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Sure.
My channel is very boring name. It's got my name, Matt Wilkins. We'll do board game reviews because I like board games. Once a week, we'll do 2 podcasts. Prince of the Universe comes on Tuesday, Saturday morning Salmon Flange on Saturdays. I do top 5s on Saturday morning Salmon Flange. Prince of the Universe, talk a lot of geek stuff like this. We review, I think next week is Suicide Squad, talk about that. And then the week after that, we inexplicitly talk about Guns N' Roses for half the episode until we finally get to the topic, which wasn't that exciting. We would rather be talking about Guns N' Roses, I guess.
I like LA Guns more.
Yeah, it was theaters, the issue with theaters and what's going on with COVID and theaters and stuff. So I titled it, I said we should call it Guns in Theaters, but people would get the wrong idea. But that's what I ended up calling the episode anyway. For Star Wars, you can look through my playlist. I have if you want to know all this in chronological order with the comic books and short stories and children's stories, you can definitely check out that series. It completed this May 25th. It wrapped up. I might have done that on purpose at 400 episodes too. It's not over yet, folks, because there'll be I'll be doing all the ones for the Hungarian Han Solo books and Supernatural Encounter, so there'll still be episodes of that from here and there. But also I'm doing like a lot of top 5s, top 10s of the EU right now. But I'm very serious. Tim kind of has me amped up to start doing deep dives through the role-playing material too, because I do love it. And there's a lot I touch on it in my Matt's Expanded Universe series. I did touch on some of that stuff from the West End Games, but I'd like to do deeper dives of each one. You've kind of inspired me, sir.
It's great stuff.
Yeah.
Great stuff. I haven't done it in a while, but on Twitter, I would always say, guys, look at this. Here's a picture of something from the book. This stuff's amazing. And it built the expanded universe, period.
It did. It's the bedrock for the expanded universe. You'll find a lot of references in it because George Lucas read this stuff all the time and loved it and would give out packages of it to every author.
I just thought of one. If you read the first, let's say, chapter of the Imperial source book, and it talks about how the Empire was formed, it more or less exactly lines up with what happens in the prequel trilogy.
In the prequels, it does.
So great stuff.
The name, I believe, is President Palpatine, they say.
But it's also that in the novelization of A New Hope.
Oh, you're right. That's where they got it. Yeah.
Yep. So they were consistent.
They were consistent back then. But yes. And I has a feeling that is West End Games did speak to George. They did get the yes and no questionnaire from George Lucas. They did get little notes. I can't remember which magazine it is. Chris just let me read these. But it has some great interviews, and one of them was from West End Games talking about how cool it was to have a yes/no question survey filled out by George with some notes scribbled in saying, how about this? I've always imagined this. And they said it's so cool that someone from Lucasfilm sends it up to George. George responds back saying, yes, you can do this. No, you can't do this. Or, hey, how about this?
Man.
And more proof that George, so many people, like this past week, someone said, you're just, when one of my old videos defending the EU, he's all screaming, George never cared about the EU. You're ignorant. You're ignorant because there's several, and I found that, I can't remember what magazine it is right now, but there's another Star Wars Collectors or something magazine. It didn't go that long.
Well, Galaxy they renamed Galaxy to Galaxy Collector, and it was a little bigger. Is that the one you're talking
But it
about?
didn't have short stories in it. This one doesn't have any EU stories in it.
Yeah, I think that must be the one then.
It's basically off toys and artwork and all the merchandising. But it did have West End Games in there, and that interview is great because they talk about dealing with someone at Lucasfilm who sends that questionnaire up to George, who responds, gives George's responses back, and sometimes he'll write stuff to them. So it's like George is talking to that. So cool. Okay, yeah, George didn't care about the EU. Yeah,
he did. He did.
See how that works when every bit of evidence points the opposite way.
I wanted to share this really quick. So I saw this in a Facebook group of like 100,000 weirdos that barely know anything about Star Wars. And they posted this picture. My girlfriend handed me this and asked if I would marry her. Of course, I said yes. And I tweeted, if it were me, you gave money to Disney Star Wars? Because that's exactly probably what would happen in real life.
That is funny. That's great.
Oh, man. But is that all you have going on? I mean, other than your normal stuff,
that's
right?
it. I'll do a live Q&A. We have a more civilized age. This may be one Ryan Kendall may not make. He's still going to be on the road. I'm going to try to see if I can get him in, wrangle him in for one. But let me see. Oh, and of course, the expandeduniverse.com. Go check it out. You want to know fun stuff. Who would be cast as Pelion by Tim comes out September 14th. I just checked it.
10 days from now.
Yeah, so that one's coming out. That one's being scheduled in there. So I got some work to do tomorrow to schedule the rest of October, or most of it. I got a few more articles that came. 1, 2, 3. That can't be 9. He sent them. It can't be. But
that was one of the easiest castings, honestly, because I had that in mind for a long time too.
They've all been good. So yeah, you definitely want to check it out and everything. So it's a lot of fun. So and it's always fun coming on here, Tim. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, theexpandeduniverse.com, all one word, and bookmark it. And I don't know how this happened, but I get like notifications in my email now. Like anytime. Yeah, I don't know how I did that, but I get them now. So cool.
That's funny. I noticed Dylan squeezed in some September articles too. His By the Numbers Authors comes out soon, but he also, I see, wrote some other articles in there. I went crazy and made Dylan an admin. I don't know why.
But yeah, as for me, I guess Greg and I Sunday night are gonna do Off the Treks. I don't know what about yet, but we enjoy doing that, and I think you've listened to that a couple of times.
I'll tune in. 50 Hottest Women.
Oh, we're done with that. That was fun. That was fun. It got more views, I think, than everything except our very first one where we just randomly went live. That's how it started back in like May. We just let's talk about the TNG movies, and we went live and we did it. So.
I just wanted to see more of Jadzia Dax, and that was it. So that's
in the TOS uniform. Yeah, that was great.
There's nothing better. That's why the Trouble with Tribbles episode will always be my favorite DS9.
And she does that twirl, but and she's like in Women More Less and does the twirl. That was awesome. Yeah. But we're not going to have Fall of Night tomorrow night because again, Alora has that wonderful moment that she's going to experience, and then I am going to be celebrating some personal achievements by having some friends over with some nice Angus steaks and alcoholic beverages and stuff like that. So that'll be fun. And then Monday's a holiday. I don't think anything's going on Monday. No, nothing's going on Monday. So that's what's going on. So I guess after Sunday night, I will be back with Rhino on Thursday night if he does his stream, and he should because he'll be locked down still in fascist Australia.
Oh, and he's in the lockdown area?
Mm-hmm.
Is Lethal in the lockdown area too?
I'm so confused on what's going on over there.
I don't know where all of them are,
I don't know if he is or not, but they're doing all kinds of stuff, like talk of this facial recognition technology on their phones and checking in, and I'm like, no, this is not Orwellian Airstrip 1, I'll pass.
Yeah, it's horrible over there.
But yeah, that's what I have going on. Videos. I need to finish my Bloodlines review. I want to do a here's how you read the Babylon 5 expanded universe, which novels are canon and which are trash and not canon. I'm going to try and work on that because that's something I'm passionate about. Alternative Factory, where I recommend old shit because new stuff is woke and terrible. I'll try to do that tomorrow if I have some time. That's all I can think of. So lots of things I want to do, just not a lot of time to do them. But thank you, Matt, for being here. This has been one of the most fun streams I've done in a long time, but I've done a lot of fun ones.
You've done a lot of fun ones. You always have great guests on here. So thanks for having me, Tim.
Thank you. Yep. Everyone, thanks for being here. Thanks to Ryan, Jock Nerdy, Melissa Lord, Timon, and from last time, Alora for the super chats. You guys are awesome. It helps me kind of offset the cost of things that I can't do because I'm here creating. So thanks, guys. You're awesome. And we will see you soon. And which one am I going to play here? Oh, yeah, I was going to play me and Rhino when I catch him doing something he shouldn't be doing in his room. Here we go. See you guys.
Hey son, I wanted to talk to you. I know
the new generation of Star Wars.
Important and all, but
Son?
Hi.
So, I decided that
Disney Star Wars.
not that bad.
Did you take your meds today,
Of
Father?
course I did. So, what are you watching here?
This is called
Geode. Oh, who's that guy on the right?
he's a guy.
What do you mean?
That's
He's a fucking rock.
Son.
Is the real canon.
I really don't care.
give me the deagle. Give me the
3,
No.
2.
The narrative's fucked!
The Expanded University. Imaginative and boundless.